we had an unprecedented election because people showed up than they've ever done in Cameroon. People were involved than ever done in Cameroon. People were taking pictures. They were intimidated. They did not fall for the intimidation. They were taking pictures. They put it out, and the entire world, we were pushing through knowing that the law through the details of how these elections are ran. But to our disappointment, not to our surprise, but to our disappointment, what happened? Power wasn't handed over, corruption tightened, intimidation increased, people were jailed unjustly, thousands were jailed all over Cameroon. And the one supposed to be elected, who was also, people were silenced. People have been jailed. People have been killed. We know, and I'm sure every one of us know, that when they say they've had 40 or 50 people killed or 60, we know it's more. Those are the ones that are being reported. So that happened, and we were just hoping and pushing, and we were feeling like it's a switch. But as the days have gone on, we are left with a bigger task, is that as a people, we take our country, nobody does. And so we're maturing as a people, knowing that we are not depending on other people. We are not waiting for some savior to come, but we are beginning to realize that it's going to be a long haul. And unlike we've ever had it, every one of us has to have responsibilities. So it has reconfigured. And, we have the president elect, Mr. Issa Shiroma, who is in another country. And he has Alice Com, which we will listen to in a few, who is speaking for him. And we have fought for more people to get out of release from jail. But the fight is, they know that they're getting to the end. The end of this. And but because we're understanding joining us today is a filmmaker and producer, you guys, with very renowned and incredible work. Joining us today is a filmmaker and producer, you guys. I'm echoing from two places. So he's on here today. Francois, I'm so pleased that you're here and that we're going to hear from you. What we have really gotten to see in this time is how, I would say, how, I don't want to say talented, but we as Cameroonians are really, you know how they say it is, I can't think right now, but okay, Cameroon is miniature Africa. That's what I was trying to say. And it's not just for the resources, for the gold. I often think that, if we were made from the earth and the earth has the diamond and the earth has the gold, the uranium, who are we? We are that precious. And if we do not know who we are finding that out all over the globe. The stellar professional Cameroonians, people who have developed, that just haunt their career. They are so excellent in everything they do. We are a people of excellence. I am simply in marketing. I am not putting myself in that category, but I would say that I have the privilege to stand behind the curtains and push people in front. And I can tell you that every one of us, no matter where you are, we need to feel so proud. We need to feel so proud of who we are. We need to understand that we're ready to take over. And with people like Francois, with people like you, that is the evidence of who we are. And that in a time where most of us are volunteered refugees and forced refugees, we can develop and continue. So we're so privileged. As we're going to hear from Francois, we're going to hear what he has done and how he comes into this conversation through film, guys. This is going to be really good. And we are also, like I said, we're going to first start by listening to Eric, and then we're going to watch the speech by Alice Com. It was fantastic. If you missed it, you have an opportunity to watch it here. And then, of course, we're going to continue our discussion, and everybody can jump in. We also have a surprise. I know that we have, I'm going to let Eric talk about it, but we have one of the political prisoners in Cameroon who was let out, and he's going to be here to give us, the picture and account of what is going on. So today is very important. So we thank you so much again. Happy New Year. We're going to be posting links of where you can, all throughout, because we're raising funds all the time, and we're going to listen to Kenneth and Angeline on here telling us what to do and how you can give and why that's important. So without any further ado, I will go ahead and pass it on to Mr. Eric Chinja. Thank you.
Nice to have you call me Mr. Eric Chinja. That's really who I am. Thank you very much. You can hear me, right? Okay. Hi, everyone, and Happy New Year 2026. So happy to see, to know that we're all coming together again for the year of change. That's what I think this 2026 is. If there's anybody who, in Cameroon especially, who doesn't know that this is the year of change, then they've got to go back to the village and be washed or cleaned, because this is the year Cameroon is going to finally find its way back to the highway. We've been lost for long enough. I hope even those in the government who are participating in this, the informants who are participating, I hope even they know that our country needs to find its way back to the highway, back to the road of development, because we lost that road long ago. We'll talk about that as we go, but we're here today to keep pace with what's going on, and a lot is going on, and it's my pleasure today to be, part of that momentum, part of the resistance movement, resistance to all that is trying to stop us from moving forward. We're moving forward in spite of it. And I hope that we will, the 2,000 or 3,000 people who are connected today, will not only join this army, but be part of, not of understanding what is happening in our country, why we should remain determined, and get a sense. There are things I will not be able to talk about in detail, but I want us all to leave here with a clear sense of this movement forward to get this country within a short time, to get this country back on track. This is the year of change, 2026. Please tell anybody who cares to listen, and those who don't want to listen, that this is the year it's going to happen. And I don't know, is it going to happen in the next few weeks?
I think
I don't think.
with the president's states.
Is it going to happen in the next few weeks? I don't think so. Is it going to happen in the next few months? Probably. In a month, in 2 months, in 3 months. I want to think so. And what I want to do now is just capture as best I can, give you a sense of what is actually going on, and why I feel hopeful, and why you should feel hopeful, and what it is you should support as we move forward. So as I said, we're working to find our way forward. We're working to get Cameroon back to where it should be. And the great thing, I think, is that I have a sense that we're coming together in ways that we never have. We're coming together in great ways. We're now, I think, more and more Anglophones are feeling comfortable with their Francophone brothers and sisters. More and more Francophones are feeling more and more comfortable with their Anglophone brothers and sisters. This is the way it should have been from the beginning. It wasn't. We're getting there. The president-elect, Mr. Chiroma, is determined to drive that agenda, to continue to bring us together. For those who have not met him or who don't know him, what we will find when he finally gets to a 2D is a human being, not a god. You all know that the Minister of Higher Education, Famendongo, has described Mr. Bia as their maker, the God, literally. Said we are his creations. And that's, whether others say it or not, that is how they've tended to see this human being called Mr. Bia, with all the human frailties that we know. I know the man. I've seen him sweat. I've seen him feel tired. I've talked to him. I've interacted. He's a human being that they've tried to, couch to the rest of us as God. We need a human back in charge who feels our pain, who understands what the challenges the country faces, who understands what it is we must do, whether we like it or not. There are no two ways of cleaning your own day. You pick up the dirt and throw it where it should be thrown. There are no two ways. No two ways to improving on our health systems. We've got to find the medication. We've got to get the doctors. We've got to heal the patients. There's just so much that should not be the way it is in Cameroon right now. And yet it is all so possible. And I can guarantee you, Mr. Chiroma is a human being who thinks human, who feels the pains of human beings and will bring that normalcy back to Cameroon. Change is what we need, and change is what we're going to get in 2026. I don't know how what I should do to push that into the minds of every single Cameroonian. Change is what we're going to have in this 2026. On December 15th, about a little over 2 weeks ago, we had a major conference in Paris. Why Paris? It was because we thought we could reach out to the most people, most institutions, most but he monitored everything. Alison Come, our exceptional spokesperson, was there, and a number of us were there, and a lot of officials from a number of organizations, as I said, the media, but also from the European Union, from the International Criminal Court. All of these kinds of people were there and listening in and getting the message that we need to put out there. And part of that message is what will hopefully result in the outcomes we want. One of these outcomes is to ensure that the impunity with which the resources of Cameroon are being pillaged, the impunity with which people are taking money and putting the money out in fiscal hideouts, in offshore accounts in Europe and in the Americas and in especially in Latin America. That will, they must know that the ICC will be looking into that, and they may not have access to those resources. So why take it out of Cameroon? Those resources will benefit other people. They have to know that, and we had to demonstrate that in Paris. Almost violent human rights abuses in the country, and they will not go unpunished. So the proof, everybody saw it. There's enough proof to have a few people sent to the courts, the ICC in The Hague. We have enough proof to do that. So they should, I'm not going to mention any names, but they know themselves, and they should be more careful. The point is not to take pride in sending Cameroonians to the ICC. But if they think they'll punish them. So amongst the things that we hope will happen in the coming months is a ban, travel ban. You lose access to the money you've been stealing. Those who've stashed funds in the United States, in the Panama, in Cayman Islands, in the Isle of Man, and so on. No, they may not have access to that because, one, they cannot travel there, and two, those accounts, will be blocked. All of this work is going on as we speak. The world has changed. Technology has changed. Things will never be the same again. So they should know that and stop doing what they're doing. The impunity they have will not help. We'll be listening to Alice come give us President Cesar Chiroma's message. She'll deliver that message because he could not deliver the message himself for a whole variety of reasons. And I'm happy that more and more Cameroonians now understand that this is not about Chiroma. They now understand that we want this, our president, safe and sound, and we want to hear what he thinks and says about issues. He doesn't have to say it himself until he can. And for those who don't know, there are a number of African leaders who've come together to say, look, we will protect you until the circumstances allow you to go back to office or get to office as determined by the Cameroonian people. You've been elected, so they know that. But for now, to avoid the confusion that will come with declaring a president in exile, which is what a lot of people seem to have wanted. No, this is about Cameroon. It's not about Issa Chiroma getting to power. It's about the country finding itself again on the right path and with the right leadership. So for now, Mr. Chiroma will continue to speak, but through others, especially lawyer Alice Nkom, who is in Douala on the ground. I'm sure many of us hear from other Africans across the continent. They're all concerned about what's going on in Cameroon, and we'll hear some testimonies. We'll hear from 3 people today, especially we'll hear from Auntie Felicia, the comedian that many of you know, Francois Wakwache, who the filmmaker. We'll hear from him, as Elizabeth said, and we'll hear from Fabrice Lena, who has been in the mouth of the lion and come out. So he'll tell us about that experience. We have just outlined the areas in which we've been working. We've been working on some legal issues. We've been working on diplomatic issues. As I said, the president is hearing from his counterparts in other countries. He's in contact with them. The final concern I want to talk about is the diaspora and how it is time for we are happy with what the diaspora has done, but more can be done. More should be done. We need to engage more forcefully with the international community. I say that, I'm not a great believer in come to do our work for us. But the globe has become a village. We live in a global village, and we need others to understand. That's all we demand, that they understand what is going on in Cameroon. And with regard to that challenge, all of us, everybody listening to this broadcast, everybody across the world, the Cameroonian diaspora, we all have a role to play, and I really hope we will play that role, because we need to inform parliaments across Africa and the world. We need to inform diplomats. We need to inform the international financial community. We need to let the World Bank know, for example, that any loans given to Cameroon now, whilst we try to organize ourselves and have the leadership we deserve, the IMF, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, the EU, and so on, they should know that the loans being contracted now, because this country is on its knees economically and financially, the loans being contracted now may not be paid back. We have become a heavily indebted, poor country. They recognize that. It's important that we all let them know that these loans, the current government has no right to continue to pile up these loans taken for causes. You take a loan when you can multiply your production, increase your production, and put yourself in a better position, not only to repay the loans, but to continue to exist and survive as an economic entity. We're not seeing that happen. They've taken loans billions, for example, to buy gadgets for the last elections. Gadgets. And the tragedy is a lot of the money taken went, a few $billion, billion francs. Half of that money and went into people's pockets, into their foreign accounts. Most of it. And then we're going to have to pay it back because our government took a loan. That's why, it's time to stop the charade. And we all should be part of ensuring that we stop the charade. We may think it's so difficult getting the IMF to stop providing more resources to Cameroon. No, it's not. We get in touch with the executive directors of the IMF, the executive directors of the World Bank, the executive directors of the African Development Bank, and tell them this. And when Cameroon's loans come up for discussion, they just say, well, there's a problem in that country. Let's educate them on our problems. Because there's a gang of people, it's a group of people who've captured the state. And they're controlling it. And this is, I say nothing that is unusual. We all know this. And they know this, that's the tragedy. They know it. They know it that Cameroon is being run today by people who do not have a vision for the country and do not have the legitimacy to run the country. Chantal Biya, the First Lady, who's very much in charge of the nation as it is today, has no authority or legitimacy to be in charge of Cameroon. And through her, Mr. Ngongo, Mr. Baboke, and the rest of them. I have nothing against these people, except that they're not doing what they should be doing. They should be servants of the people, not the leaders of the people. So, I'm sorry, my phone is just... so, we have to let the world know that nothing is as it should be in Cameroon. And us in the diaspora, we have that role. We must play that role. So having said all of that, I'll go back to Elizabeth in a second to call on our various, on the guests we have on today's program. The final thing I want to mention is, one, the president is doing great. Mr. Chiroma is doing fine. He's working. He's busy, and he's part of what we are doing now is what is to complement what he is doing, so that before long, this country frees itself. He's called it the fight of the generation is the liberation of Cameroon. Let me just quickly summarize what I said in French, and then Elizabeth, I'll hand it back to you.
Okay, thank you.
I know you think I talk too much, and unfortunately, that's who I am.
Not at all. We need to do that.
Donc, ce que je viens de dire, c'est que très rapidement, je veux que nous sommes ensemble dans cette bataille que le président Chiroma a appelée la bataille générationnelle de la génération pour la libération du Cameroun. Et nous sommes en train de mener cette bataille sur plusieurs fronts. Il y a un front diplomatique et un front juridique, et puis un front, j'appellerais, diasporique. Donc, le rôle que doit jouer la diaspora dans cette bataille. En ce qui concerne donc l'aspect juridique, ça a été exprimé il y a 2 semaines à Paris. Nous avons parlé de ça la semaine dernière, mais surtout à Paris, nous avons démontré au monde la réalité de ce qui se passe au Cameroun. Nous avons montré des preuves de d'autres violations des droits de l'homme. Donc, en le faisant, on a interpellé, n'est-ce pas, la Cour internationale aux Pays-Bas, La Haye. Nous avons aussi parlé des éléments diplomatiques. Nous avons fait appel au monde diplomatique, la communauté internationale, aussi bien la communauté financière internationale que et politique. Donc, nous avons lancé un appel envers un certain nombre d'institutions, par exemple le Parlement européen, le Congrès américain, la Cour internationale, j'ai parlé de ça, la Cour des droits de l'homme, à Banjul d'ailleurs, de l'Union africaine. Donc, il y a toutes ces actions que nous sommes en train de mener dans l'espoir, n'est-ce pas, de mettre la pression, surtout la pression financière. Je ne sais pas si je dois parler de tout ça, parce qu'il y a beaucoup de choses qui se passent, il y a certaines choses qui se passent au-dessus de la table, mais il y a c'est pour rassurer tout le monde, d'abord que le président Tiroma est au travail, rassurer tout le monde que beaucoup de choses se passent qui vont nous amener vers une solution définitive, n'est-ce pas, du problème que nous avons au pays. Et donc, le dernier point, c'est le rôle de la diaspora. La diaspora doit jouer son rôle. Beaucoup de choses se passent, il y a beaucoup de gens, beaucoup de groupes de diasporiques, n'est-ce pas, qui font pas mal de choses. On verra tout à l'heure avec nos invités, surtout avec Fabrice Lénard, qui vient de sortir de la bouche du lion. Fabrice était à Douala, il a été arrêté pour ses actions politiques et tout, mais il nous en parlera. Mais au-delà de tout ça, il y a le travail à faire au niveau des parlements de nos pays, le Parlement européen par exemple, le Congrès américain, les sénateurs, et ainsi de suite. Il faut informer, il faut que les gens sachent ce qui se passe au Cameroun réellement. Je parlais aussi de la nécessité de toucher des institutions financières comme le Fonds monétaire, comme la Banque mondiale, comme la Banque africaine de développement, et ainsi de suite, et faire comprendre à ceux-là que tout ce qu'ils sont en train d'octroyer au Cameroun comme dette, qui nous met dans une situation impossible à gérer. Nous avons l'obligation de rappeler à tout ce monde-là, à toutes ces institutions, que l'argent qu'ils sont en train de donner, les dettes qu'ils sont en train que le Cameroun est en train de ramasser de gauche à droite, que c'est pas sûr que c'est pas nos enfants qui vont payer cette dette. Nous refusons d'octroyer, n'est-ce pas, de contracter autant d'argent pour que le régime actuel est en train d'utiliser pour l'achat des voitures, de véhicules, l'achat des trucs qui n'apportent absolument rien à notre économie. Donc, il y a un défi à relever à ce niveau-là, et moi, je crois que c'est le travail qui nous revient, et j'espère que quand, par exemple, les autorités commencent à voir la nécessité de se retirer d'un certain nombre d'institutions internationales, parce que le Cameroun est incapable de continuer, n'est-ce pas, à payer sa part, ses cotisations à ces organisations, c'est parce que le pays est très endetté et nous ne pouvons pas continuer à nous endetter davantage et faire en sorte que nos enfants ne puissent pas demain, enfin regarde, même nos hôpitaux, rien ne se passe, on n'arrive pas à gérer la santé au Cameroun, on n'arrive pas à avoir les infrastructures nécessaires pour une économie de la taille d'une économie comme celle de notre pays. Moi, je reviens de Dakar, je vois ce que les Sénégalais sont en train de faire. Le Cameroun qui était en tête par rapport à tous ces pays, Sénégal, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Kenya, ainsi de suite. Regarde où nous sommes aujourd'hui. Donc, il y a un véritable défi à relever. Et tout ce que je dis, travaillons pour cette année, pour qu'il y ait changement cette année, que l'année 2026 soit l'année du changement. Elizabeth, let me hand the microphone back to you to invite our friends to speak to us.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'm going to be adding Are also. Before I do that, I just wanted to apologize because we have another guest speaker that I didn't get to introduce, and that's his Auntie Feli, which is so exciting because we have been anticipating him joining us, and he's here today. So we're also going to hear from him. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and just pass it on to Are, who is here, Are, and then we can watch the speech of Madame Alice.
Well, thank you, Eric, Eli, and everyone who's joining. I think we all had great anticipation for the message from Mr. Chiroma at the end of the year or the beginning of the new year, and I think let's listen to that, Eli, and then we'll catch up on the other side of the message where we can just highlight some key points, and then yes.
Okay, very good. So let's go ahead and put that on. Just a minute here. Share that screen. Okay.
Camerounaises, Camerounais, mes très chers compatriotes, ce moment aurait pu et aurait dû être celui de la célébration d'une dignité retrouvée et d'une fierté nationale restaurée. Hélas, la brutalisation de notre espace politique et social, la confiscation du pouvoir et le rétrécissement continu des libertés publiques fondamentales imposent à notre nation une tristesse que même les moments de communion sportive si chers à notre peuple ne parviennent plus à conjurer. Au cours de l'année 2025 qui s'achève, l'appareil d'État capturé et instrumentalisé par un pouvoir en rupture de légitimité a été utilisé pour vider le suffrage universel de sa substance et transformer votre vote en simple formalité sans conséquence. Pour empêcher l'alternance démocratique et maintenir un système arrivé au terme de sa légitimité. Pour enfermer notre jeunesse dans le recours à l'exil, à la débrouille, à l'absence de perspective d'avenir. Pour instaurer un climat de peur et de silence favorable à la poursuite de la prédation systématique des ressources collectives. Pour vous pousser au découragement et à la résignation en se dressant contre votre volonté d'entrouvrir un horizon d'espoir, de justice et de dignité, clairement exprimé le 12 octobre 2025 en transcendant tous les clivages imposés, géographiques, politiques, ethniques et religieux. Et pourtant, c'est avec une confiance intacte dans notre destin commun que je viens m'adresser à vous avec respect et gravité à l'aune de cette nouvelle année. Votre aspiration au changement n'a pas faibli, malgré la transgression grave des règles républicaines, les arrestations et emprisonnements arbitraires, les crimes politiques, les assassinats et l'intimidation systématique utilisés pour tenter de briser le destin de la nation. Que les responsables de cette répression sauvage soient à nouveau mis en garde contre les conséquences individuelles de leurs actes, notamment auprès des juridictions internationales. Les morts ne sont pas des statistiques. Ce sont autant de vies et de familles brisées. Et le sacrifice de nos héros et martyrs ne sera pas en vain. Et qu'ils l'entendent aussi, dorénavant, la peur a changé de camp. Mes très chers concitoyens, je veux vous le dire clairement. La nuit a une durée. Aucune nuit n'est éternelle. Et l'aube finit toujours par se lever, même lorsque certains s'acharnent à éteindre toute lumière. Je serai bientôt de retour parmi vous pour assumer pleinement la charge que vous m'avez confiée. Une charge que je ne saurais abandonner sans vous trahir. Je ne le ferai jamais. Cette responsabilité ne m'appartient pas. Elle est la vôtre. Je ne fais que la porter en votre nom et sous votre contrôle. Personne ne peut, quel que soit son appareil de répression, retarder indéfiniment l'espérance. Personne ne peut durablement humilier la volonté populaire, ni la renverser sans exposer la nation à de graves périls. N'en déplaise à ceux qui vivent de la confiscation du pouvoir et du mépris du peuple, l'année qui s'ouvre sera celle du courage lucide. Le courage de continuer à croire en la force du suffrage. Le courage de démontrer par notre constance et par notre unité que le peuple camerounais n'est ni résigné ni vaincu. Ce courage sera mis à l'épreuve par une réalité incontournable. La situation économique du pays. La mauvaise gouvernance et la gabegie financière ont vidé les caisses de l'État. Et l'économie s'enfonce. Le pouvoir d'achat s'effondre. Et la vie devient chaque jour plus difficile. La dette progresse à un rythme vertigineux pendant que la production recule et que la corruption prospère. Notre système éducatif perd ses repères et n'en a plus que le nom, devenu incapable de préparer des compétences utiles à la nation. Se soigner est plus que jamais un luxe inaccessible à la majorité de nos compatriotes, de nos concitoyens. Et ce n'est pas une fatalité, c'est le résultat de l'incompétence, car d'autres choix sont possibles. À vous les jeunes de ce pays, de Pitoa à Campo, de Bertois à Idabato, de Kuseri à Fumbot, de Tibati à Kumbo, de Mbankomo à Bomono, d'Okola à Bafia, de Douala à Yaoundé, je réaffirme la mission prioritaire de mon mandat de transition. Vous donner un avenir et œuvrer à une véritable émergence de notre pays, en restaurant l'intégrité de nos institutions et de nos pratiques, en jetant les bases d'un développement inclusif, d'une prospérité partagée, en rassemblant toutes les forces vives de notre pays, du nord au sud, d'est en ouest, pour construire notre avenir commun. Mes chers compatriotes, mes très chers compatriotes, notre œuvre de résistance se poursuit. Fort de votre résilience, nous ferons la preuve que l'espérance n'est ni un slogan, mais une discipline. Que le changement n'est ni un miracle, ni un mirage, mais une construction exigeante et collective. En cette nouvelle année, Votre aspiration au changement n'a pas faibli. Je vous rappelle donc, je vous appelle à rester fidèle à ce que vous êtes, un peuple digne et résolu, plus fort que les menaces. Ensemble et unis, nous sommes plus forts que tout, plus forts que les menaces, plus forts que les violences, plus forts que la résignation, plus forts que les armes, plus forts qu'un clan. Mes chers compatriotes, ce pays est le nôtre, ce pays est le vôtre. Il n'appartient à personne d'autre qu'à vous. Il est temps que vous continuiez ce que vous avez commencé le 12 octobre et mettiez fin à cette forfaiture pour que nous puissions démarrer le chantier qui est le nôtre. N'oubliez jamais que vous êtes les seuls détenteurs de la souveraineté. Vous êtes les seuls propriétaires et vous êtes les vrais patrons de ce pays. Les gens pour lesquels vous votez reçoivent de votre part une simple délégation de pouvoir. Ils sont vos employés. Ils sont vos locataires. Pas le contraire. Cette délégation de pouvoir est révocable et vous l'avez révoquée sans la moindre ambiguïté le 12 octobre dernier. Je suis sensible à l'accueil que vous me réservez et j'ai hâte d'être installé dans mes fonctions, dans les locaux que vous avez toujours réservés au président légitime de la République du Cameroun. Nous ne sommes ni une monarchie, ni une autocratie. Il n'y aura plus de succession dynastique, pas de succession clanique. Je vous exhorte à une prise de conscience nationale, individuelle et collective. Notre génération a une mission historique, la libération. À vous, les femmes camerounaises, je vous renouvelle toute ma gratitude car votre résilience et votre courage maintiennent l'unité de notre pays malgré l'extrême fragilité financière. À nos forces de maintien de l'ordre, à vous, nos travailleurs infatigables, à vous le patronat, à vous nos agriculteurs, à vous nos transporteurs, à vous nos frères et sœurs anglophones, à vous les compatriotes de la diaspora, à vous les avocats, à vous les gens de médias et à tous ceux que j'ai pu oublier sur cette liste non exhaustive, à tous, je le répète, je suis l'un des vôtres et vos préoccupations sont les miennes. Plus que jamais, la responsabilité qui est la mienne prendra le visage d'un père rassembleur pour cette grande famille éparpillée qui doit se ressouder pour prospérer ensemble. Ensemble, faisons reculer la peur, faisons avancer la vérité, faisons revenir la confiance. Je vous fais la promesse de poursuivre ce combat sans haine, sans faiblesse, sans violence et sans renoncement. Pour que le Cameroun retrouve enfin sa voie, le chemin de la paix, de la justice et de la dignité et de la prospérité. Bonne année à chacune et à chacun de vous. Vive le Cameroun. Le président Issa Chiroma Bakary, président légitime de la République du Cameroun. Camerounaises, Camerounais, mes très chers compatriotes,
Okay.
Well, Harry, I mean, there's no point summarizing what was said. I'm sure we all.
I think we get the gist, but I mean, this is the speech that never was. This was the speech that had to be made. It was the speech that had to be listened to. This is the speech that was meant to give Cameroonians the hope for what is to come in 2026. The opportunity for Cameroonians to walk into 2026 with the optimism that is needed for every country that is full of the kind of resources that we have in Cameroon, which unfortunately that didn't happen. And so here we are listening to the duly elected president of Cameroon speaking by proxy as a result of the situation in which we find ourselves. We had to do this because the theme of our session today is essentially reminding ourselves of certain truths. And the truth is that we know the outcome of the elections, and we cannot forget that even as we move into the new year. It's a new year, and it could give us the illusion that it's a clean slate, but the same challenges that we faced on December 31st are the same challenges that we face on January 3rd. So we're united here for the truth that only one person was elected legitimate leader of Cameroon on October 12th, chosen by the people, and that was Issa Chiroma. But even more importantly, too often it has been said that the people of Cameroon are passive and docile and really cannot come together. But this was one opportunity where it was clearly demonstrated that the people made a choice. And that choice was a choice for change. And so we must, even as we have not achieved the outcome that the people wanted, let's never forget that we have to celebrate them. We have to encourage people to come together in ways that they haven't done before. And we hope that October 12th was the beginning of that movement. We have to keep standing together. We must look beyond political parties that divide and weaken our resolve. Let's rise above that. We must see ourselves as a people, the civil society coming together. We must look beyond the linguistic obstacles because it's just a language. Let's look beyond the cultural differences, the ethnic labels that we've put on ourselves, and try to see ourselves as Cameroonians, because that's the only thing that is going to save us. It's our ability to be united, to look beyond personal interests and put forward Allah and Iset Ekane, the interest of the country. And if we can do that, then there is nothing, there's no force in Yaoundé, there's no military that can be stronger than us. And I think that's the message that Issa Chiroma was conveying to the Cameroonian people in that conversation, that you sovereignty lies with you. You made a choice, and we must ensure that it happens, but it would only happen if we stand together. So now that we've listened to that, I guess there will be a lot of comments to make as we dissect that speech. But at this point, we have three guests today that we're going to be bringing on to have a conversation about this theme: the truth, the bravery of the Cameroonian people, and how we move forward, keep fighting for a better tomorrow. And the guests that we have here today are actually unique. We have Kwa Elonge Antifeli, who was one of the first, let me term it, celebrities in Cameroon, who actually stood up and said, I'm going to support Issa Chiroma at a time when, actually the celebrity class of Cameroon has actually been absent from the political discourse. Without few of them have really stood up and sided with the people. But once Antifeli did it, we saw other people stand up and declare their support for Mr. Chiroma. Then we have Francis, the seniors, Francis Wokoche, who has been actually documenting something that we were thinking of doing at Project C, has actually gone ahead to try to document everything that happened in the elections by way of film, who is really going to talk about why it's important for us to keep record of this truth, this moment of truth, because history will write about this, what happened in 2025. And then we have Fabrice Lena, who post-elections was one of the people that we woke up one morning and saw that he had been taken away just before Jacob Chemeni and Anisete Kani were also taken away. So Fabrice Lena did serve as a campaign manager for one of the candidates for presidency, and came out too quickly after the results were counted in the polling station in which he was in, and announced that Chiroma won at that polling station, which was the right thing to do, because results based on the electoral code in Cameroon are supposed to be published polling station by polling station. So we have 3 guests. We do not have much time. There's so much to be said, but I want to start first by bringing in Francois. Francois, if you're here, Francois.
Yes, I've added him as spotlight.
Oui.
Thank you.
Yes. Bonjour, Francois. We cannot hear you.
Voilà, vous m'entendez?
Oui. Francois.
Ok, bonjour tout le monde et bonne année, meilleure vœux.
Bonne année à toi, François. Et le moment de la vérité, c'est exactement ce quand on va parler de ce moment de la vérité. L'année 2025, ça a été une année historique pour notre pays, le Cameroun. Historique parce qu'on a vu ce qu'on n'a jamais vu au Cameroun, où les Camerounais se sont décidés. Les Camerounais ont pris leur destin en main. Et vous, en tant que cinéaste, vous avez opté à faire quelque chose qu'on doit applaudir, c'est-à-dire assurer que l'histoire sera basée sur la vérité. Et parlez-nous un peu de pourquoi vous avez opté à développer ce documentaire que tu es en train de partager. Je pense que cette dernière semaine, chaque semaine, tu as publié un des épisodes de ce documentaire.
Oui, en fait, disons que il y a 2 dates dans ma vie qui vraiment sont importantes. C'est 1994, le génocide. Là, je vous parle du Rwanda, en fait, de Kigali, où je vis depuis le début des années 2000 et où je suis arrivé à cause du génocide, pour travailler sur la mémoire du génocide et aider le Rwanda à se reconstruire et surtout à raconter son histoire. Et il y a le 12 octobre 2025. Le 12 octobre 2025, j'étais au Cameroun jusqu'en septembre et je suis revenu mi-septembre au Rwanda pour des raisons personnelles. Et j'ai suivi l'élection parce qu'il s'est passé, on sentait tous qu'il y avait quelque chose d'important qui allait se passer dans le pays, mais on ne savait pas quoi. On ne savait pas exactement comment ça allait prendre forme. Et donc, on a passé cette nuit du 12 octobre à suivre les élections, les résultats, à partager et les vidéos qui arrivaient. Mais à une vitesse, c'était une avalanche de vidéos. Et moi, par réflexe, parce que c'est mon métier, et c'est surtout une préoccupation importante pour moi en tant qu'Africain, il faut qu'on arrive à intégrer l'idée qu'on doit conserver les choses, qu'on doit construire une mémoire, on doit préserver ce qui se passe pour pouvoir raconter. Et donc, j'ai téléchargé, enregistré beaucoup de vidéos, mais ce qui m'a beaucoup frappé dans la plupart des vidéos qu'on recevait pendant la soirée des élections, c'était 2 choses, en fait. C'est que les Camerounais sont sortis en masse, contrairement à tout ce qu'on avait pu penser avant. Et moi-même, j'étais un de ceux qui étaient très pessimistes sur la mobilisation des Camerounais. J'étais un de ceux qui étaient assez découragés. Surtout quand on a éliminé le professeur Kamto, qui semblait être la personne capable de mobiliser les gens. et d'amener quelque chose de nouveau. Mais les images que je recevais, mon œil de cinéaste me disait, mais il est en train de se passer quelque chose d'extraordinaire. Les gens sont sortis, non seulement les gens sont sortis, mais les Camerounais ont fait un travail citoyen que je n'avais jamais imaginé. De rester dans les bureaux de vote toute la journée, toute la soirée, de surveiller, d'avoir le courage de contrôler le vote, de s'assurer que leur vote va être pris en compte, que les résultats vont correspondre à ceux qu'ils avaient mis dans les urnes. Et ça, les images me racontaient ça. Mais en même temps, j'étais très frustré parce que je me disais dans les jours qui ont suivi, c'est des vidéos, vous connaissez un peu les réseaux sociaux en fait. Les vidéos arrivent et puis dans le flot des informations, tout ça disparaît. Je me disais, mais ce n'est pas possible. Il faut à un moment donné que cette force, il faut que cet engagement, que ce courage-là puisse être mis en résonance. Et ça, c'est mon travail de cinéaste. Et c'est comme ça que j'ai décidé, en fait, à partir de ces vidéos-là, non pas de faire un travail de cinéma en tant que tel, mais de faire un travail de citoyen qui se sert de ce qu'il sait faire, c'est-à-dire des images et les sons, donc de raconter une histoire, pour dire, mais voilà ce que les Camerounais ont décidé. Voilà comment les Camerounais, en 2025, ont décidé de changer le destin de leur pays. Ce que nous n'avions jamais imaginé dans nos rêves les plus fous. Et ça, c'est les images qui le racontent. Et ça, c'est les Camerounais qui l'ont fait. Et donc, mon objectif, en travaillant sur ces images et en publiant ces séries de 15 minutes, 8 fois 15 minutes, c'est à la fois de raconter cette vérité qui est la vérité des urnes, mais aussi qui, au-delà de la vérité des urnes, est de raconter l'espoir que les Camerounais ont eu et la conviction que les Camerounais ont cru que la démocratie par les urnes pouvait amener le changement dans le pays. C'est exactement ça qui s'est passé. Quand on regarde, et surtout, je vous invite à regarder le 8e épisode qui va sortir dans la semaine là, ça montre très clairement à quel point les Camerounais étaient persuadés qu'en allant voter, en surveillant le vote, en exprimant un choix démocratique dans la paix, ce pays pouvait changer. Et c'est ça qui s'est passé, et malheureusement, on sait ce qui s'est passé par la suite. Mais je pense que ce qui est important de dire, et c'est pour ça que moi, je pense que ce travail pour moi est important, c'est que cet enthousiasme-là, cette envie de changement, ce courage-là ne doit pas se perdre dans la déception qu'il y a eu après. C'est pour ça que c'est important d'avoir ces images, de compiler ces images, de garder la mémoire de ce moment, de cette journée et de ce qui s'est passé après, et montrer que les Camerounais ont eu cette détermination, ont eu ce courage, ont eu cette volonté qui va au-delà d'un homme politique. Ce n'est pas un homme politique qu'ils ont choisi, c'est le destin d'un pays, c'est leur avenir. C'est ça que j'essaie de raconter en fait, c'est de dire que les Camerounais ne sont pas allés voter pour quelqu'un. Ils sont allés voter pour sauver leur pays. Ils sont allés voter pour sauver l'avenir de leurs enfants. Ils sont allés voter pour amener ce pays sur un chemin qui soit un chemin de l'espérance, de la vraie espérance, sur un chemin du progrès, sur un chemin qui va amener les enfants et les Camerounais à être des gens, redevenir des gens brillants qu'ils ont été. Donc, c'est un peu ça qu'on essaie de raconter, en fait, et c'est extrêmement important. Et j'ai publié il y a 2 jours sur les réseaux sociaux un message parce que je discute beaucoup aussi avec les gens, notamment suite à la publication des épisodes. Et on a le sentiment un peu qu'il y a comme un découragement, en fait. Les gens ont l'impression, on a l'impression qu'il y a comme les gens ont l'impression qu'ils ont fait ça, ils sont sortis, certains sont morts, mais il ne se passe rien et on a l'impression que ça va recommencer comme avant. Non. Je pense qu'il faut qu'on arrive à remobiliser cette énergie, à remotiver les gens et surtout à leur faire comprendre que cet espoir-là n'est pas mort. Au contraire, cet espoir est plus vivant que jamais et qu'on est près du but. Et justement, on vit un moment historique. Et je pense, comme monsieur Eric, que l'année 2026 va être une année décisive. Ça va être l'année du changement. Mais ce changement ne va arriver que si on arrive surtout par rapport à nos compatriotes qui sont au pays, parce qu'ils vivent vraiment la situation la plus difficile, à leur faire se ressouvenir même eux-mêmes. Parce que beaucoup de gens avec qui je parle au Cameroun ont presque oublié l'enthousiasme et l'engagement et le courage qu'ils ont eu le 12 octobre, en fait. Donc, je pense que notre devoir aussi, on parlait du rôle de la diaspora tout à l'heure, notre devoir aussi, c'est de travailler avec eux et de leur rappeler que c'est eux qui ont été les moteurs de cet espoir. C'est eux qui ont porté cet espoir. Et quand je regarde les vidéos, quand je fais les montages, je me rends compte que c'est beaucoup les femmes et beaucoup les jeunes, voire les très jeunes. Donc, ça montre vraiment à quel point, dans la société camerounaise, le désir de changement est profond. Et ça, c'est important. C'est vraiment important. Donc, c'est un peu le travail qu'on a essayé de faire. Mais il ne s'agit pas de moi ou de Issa Chiroma, il s'agit de notre pays, en fait. Il s'agit de nos enfants, s'agit de ces jeunes-là de redonner de l'espoir et de continuer à croire que ce pays mérite mieux. C'est Elisabeth qui disait tout à l'heure que le Cameroun doit être un pays d'excellence. Il n'y a pas d'autre solution. Le Cameroun doit être un pays d'excellence. Et pour que le Cameroun devienne un pays d'excellence, il faut que ce soit d'abord un pays de justice et de paix. De la vraie paix, en fait. La paix, c'est de respecter la volonté du peuple. La paix, c'est de respecter le choix du peuple. C'est le peuple qui décide. Moi-même, je n'étais pas un supporter de Tiroma. Et j'ai eu beaucoup de discussions, y compris dans ma propre famille, avec les jeunes. Avant les élections, vous allez voter qui et tout. Les gens me disaient, Tiroma, je disais, attention, mais c'est le choix du Cameroun. C'est le choix des gens. Les gens ont choisi librement et dans tout le pays. Je veux dire, c'est aussi ça que les images montrent, en fait. C'est que ça ne s'est pas juste passé à Douala ou Yaoundé. Ça s'est passé sur l'ensemble du territoire camerounais. Les gens se sont levés et ils ont choisi, ils ont dit, OK, si les politiciens ne peuvent pas s'entendre, nous, on va prendre les choses en main. Et c'est ce que les Camerounais ont fait. Et c'est ça qui est beau, en fait. Et c'est ça qu'il faut préserver. Et je pense que le travail que nous essayons de faire ici, c'est de préserver ça, c'est de préserver ce choix des Camerounais, cet enthousiasme et ce courage que les Camerounais ont eu de dire, nous allons faire ce travail nous-mêmes qui nous revient en tant que peuple souverain. Nous allons nous redonner notre dignité. Donc, et ça, c'est extrêmement important. Et je pense qu'il est important que ce message-là soit passé, que ce message ne soit pas perdu. Et le cinéma et les arts, et moi, je lance un appel aux artistes, aux autres cinéastes ici. Formons une coalition. Le cinéma et les arts ont un rôle extrêmement important à jouer dans cette lutte que nous menons aujourd'hui. Parce que quand on parle de communication, de sensibilisation, de discours à construire envers la communauté internationale, mais surtout envers nous-mêmes, on ne peut pas, dans le monde dans lequel on vit aujourd'hui, négliger la force des images, la force de la communication, la force de l'art. Et il faut que les Camerounais qui sont dans ce domaine-là se réveillent enfin et qu'on forme une vraie coalition et qu'on produise des éléments qui vont permettre à d'autres personnes, comme des communicants, des journalistes, des hommes politiques, même de se servir, même des avocats, de se servir de ces outils-là pour pouvoir parler plus facilement à nos partenaires, pour pouvoir convaincre le maximum de gens, en fait. Parce que comme on dit souvent, on le sait, une image parfois vaut plus que 10 mots, en fait, plus que 1000 mots. Donc si on arrive à produire du matériel de qualité, mais qui est basé sur cette vérité que nous connaissons tous, je pense que ça va aussi nous faciliter la tâche, en fait. Ça va beaucoup faciliter le combat que nous sommes en train de mener. Donc, je lance cet appel-là aujourd'hui. Il faut qu'on se mobilise et qu'on arrive à travailler ensemble. Et je vais terminer en rappelant un peu ce que le dernier invité d'une des dernières sessions a dit, dans les dernières décennies. Cette capacité à travailler ensemble, cette capacité à transcender nos différences. C'est ça qui va nous faire franchir une étape décisive, en fait, je crois, qui va nous permettre de reconstruire la confiance entre nous, qui va nous permettre à réapprendre la solidarité que nous devons avoir entre nous. Et cette solidarité, je pense, va nous amener à plus de respect, à plus d'amour, parce que ça, c'est quelque chose qui me frappe beaucoup dans le Cameroun aujourd'hui, le manque d'amour. Quand je vois les gens qui nous gouvernent, la façon dont ils traitent la population, on ressent qu'il y a un énorme manque d'amour. Nous avons besoin de réapprendre l'amour à notre population, de réapprendre aux Camerounais qu'on les aime. En fait. Le Cameroun a besoin de dirigeants qui aiment ce pays et qui aiment ce peuple. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, François.
Pas été trop long.
Très, très bien. You made the point really clearly, and the point of really this is why we're having this conversation on the first Saturday of the year 2026. It's really for us never to forget what happened in 2025, to celebrate the bravery of our Cameroonian people and what they did. Very sophisticated. There was no one saw it coming, but the people knew what they wanted. And that is very, very important that we have to, in your point, restore hope in the people so that they can go back to where that momentum came from and be able to build, to keep fighting for a better tomorrow. It is only the people, right? And to your point, that for us to move forward, we need that coalition of the people, where we bring people from all sectors, right, to be part of this movement. In some ways, that's the idea behind Project C. You know, too often, as I keep saying, we're divided because of the 500 political parties that we have in Cameroon, which do not make sense. We're divided because of the 240 tribes that we have in Cameroon. That doesn't make sense. We're divided because some people speak English and some people speak French. That should be a tremendous benefit for us. But instead, it has become a point of division for us. We're divided even, in so many ways. Yet our destiny is so inextricably intertwined that we have to stand together to survive. We don't have to step on each other to be able to survive. We come from a country of plenty that nobody should want to have so much. Will not the rich country from which we come from. And for that to happen, sometimes individuals have to make tremendous sacrifice, like each one of us is making, where you have to decide to stand for what is right, to stand for what is the truth, even if it's going to cost you. Because if you do not sacrifice, then you are actually part of the problem. If you do not make that effort to give so that we may all have, then you're part of the problem, because that's why people are staying in this government, that they know that the government lost the election. They just cannot find the courage to sacrifice. And maybe that's what people saw in Chiroma, that he could have stayed in the government and been quiet, kept quiet. But he made the sacrifice, knowing the consequences of his action. The Anisette Ekanes of the world, the Jacob Chemenis, the people who are languishing now in jail, they made the sacrifice so that we all may find a better tomorrow. And so let me turn over to Kwo Elonge Ashi thank you for being here. We know you as Auntie Fairly publicly. And it was amazing that you were one of the first artists in Cameroon to actually step up and publicly say, look, we have to go with the devil, the better. Our good devil, and supported Issa Chiroma. That was a defining moment for you, but also a defining moment for Cameroon and the millions of followers that you have behind you. Why did you make that decision? And how will you use the artists? How can they play their part in upholding this truth that we all know, that Cameroonians voted for change, and Paul Biya, as it stands, is the illegitimate president of Cameroon?
Thank you so much, Ari, and Happy New Year to everyone. For me, I think I've always been active when it comes to this discussion around social change. It wasn't just when we're having the elections, but I was very active from January 1st in getting people to go out and register. And my target was really young people, young voters, because I realized that there was a lot of apathy among young people. In fact, the whole idea of young people getting into social media and doing a lot of content now is because they've lost interest in government, and government cannot do anything for anybody again. And so to me, my conviction was, well, politics is what shapes the systems that determine our daily lives. And so as an influencer, I stand at a unique position, that intersection between public attention and social change. If I do not speak out, then I allow other people to define the narrative for me and for the entire nation. So I was looking at how the conversation around this, and especially to get young people to understand that their voices count, that it will count if they participate in this process. I realized that a lot of young people were not, they never wanted to register. They felt that it would be business as usual and all of that. And so to me, it was first, this was my conviction, not that I was delusional to think that, oh, this system will just hand over. But if you're to rig the elections, I should make it very obvious that this is what you're doing. It should be very, very obvious that we did not just chicken out. You stole these elections. It should be very clear. And so to me, it was that conviction. I had built a platform, and I felt that I had that responsibility to now, just get people to mobilize people to participate in it. Before, I did not know I would endorse Chiroma. Quite frankly, I had a blog called Unfiltered, and when Chiroma was Minister of Communication, I was ballistic whenever I spoke about him. I did not like him at all. But then when I looked at the candidates we had and the stakes that we had that we were up against, we've already talked about a coalition for the opposition to stand against Bia, but that was not forthcoming. The political party that I have voted party after party after party to get Pobia out. I voted CPP, I voted CPP, that's Kawala, I voted MRC, I have voted SDF and all of that. And repeatedly, I realized that with the Anglophone crisis and everything, this party's influence had dwindled. So I was looking for a candidate that we all could rally. So it was about the electorate forming a coalition around a candidate if we cannot get the political parties to actually come together to form a coalition. And so Issa Chiroma had the momentum. And then I also liked his communication. As an Anglophone, I liked what he did. But I saw the snowball effect in terms of the kind of people who rallied behind him. So I saw Rebecca Enochoko, I saw Eric Chinje, people whom I had a lot of respect for, and whom I believe that would not trade their integrity. And these are people whom were, at least were within the circle of Chiroma. And so it gave me a bit of guidance, but I was still endorsing Chiroma with a pinch of salt, because he had said a lot of things, he had done a lot of things which I wasn't 100% convinced. But I felt that if all of these people were rallying behind him, then there was something, it was indicative of something. And so I decided to throw it, because I think for those of us who are within social media and all of that, they always tell us as artists to shy away from politics, because it might affect your career, do that, and the bullying. And to me, it was like I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired of it. I said, no, I would do it. And I was really happy to see the engagement from especially my followers, who a lot of young people who were asking me questions about how to register, if they could register, and participating and going out to secure their votes and staying at the polling stations. I have witnessed other elections, and for the longest time, people could actually gainsay whether the elections were stolen and what was the margin of it. But for this one, it was really clear, because people were very vocal. People stood there to protect their results. And then this happens, which is something I expected that it will happen, because I just did not think that Bia will go out without a fight. So I expected that. But it was very disappointing again, because we have the elections still coming up. And with the rigging and all of this, what it does again is to put the young people in that position when they feel like their voices do not count. And so it creates further trends of apathy, where people are like, oh, I voted in this election, and look at what they did. How am I sure that in participating in future elections, my voice will count? So that's the painful part of it. It's the painful part. And to know that this happened with the complicity of for example, as an Anglophone elite, especially those within the CPDM, is very, very hurtful and disappointing. After the elections, I followed up in Meme to find out what really happened. And I got the report from the Elekam council branches for Bonge and Konye, because I was laser fixed on those, not directly from the council branches, but they had sent those reports to the Elekam authorities in the Southwest province about the irregularities in the elections, pinpointing 2 Elekam staff, one in Konye, one in Bonge, who were part of the rigging, who had joined forces with CPDM politicians who are from those regions. And the reports are there. And I've been waiting to see whether Elekam would do anything to the staff, some kind of punishment, something. Nothing is being done. And so we got to a point where we are bent down saying, I will put out those results, those reports in the coming weeks. I will put it out and ask Elekam why staff who are by their own bosses have been reported for participating in electoral fraud are not being held accountable. So I think that is the kind of demand for truth, and actually do it. We cannot be everywhere at any time, but we can contribute in our own little spaces in effecting that change.
Thank you very much. I will be actually looking forward to those reports, because we have to amplify it. And that's the one thing, to your point, that it is the people who did everything right who are languishing in jail. And the people who stole the election, who committed electoral fraud, which is punishable by the penal code, who are actually free, roaming free. And those who did not commit any crimes by the books, simply made a choice in a democratic process, those are the people who are in jail. And that is the truth that we must tell. As we talk about this, we must not forget. But I also do understand 2 things that you highlighted. The heartbreak that young people will feel that they did what they could to get change. And Francois also mentioned this, to get change through the democratic process. And the system, the people entrusted to uphold the will of the people, betrayed them. And our job is to help them through that process of recovery, because they are heartbroken. We understand that, but the future belongs to them. So they must continue to fight to get it, to own it, and we must not forget that. And then secondly, the Anglophone part of this whole thing, where the Anglophone leaders actually, in complicity, kind of stole the voices of their own people. And that is extremely, extremely painful. And this must never be forgotten. You know, when the history of our country is written, we must always have this paragraph that the people, the Anglophone people, gave away the voices, the mandate of their people to somebody who didn't even ask for it. He never set foot in that part of the country and has not been there for the last 9 years or 10 years even. Never asked for their mandate, never bothered one moment to ask for the vote from these people. And yet, yes, in the Bonge and Konye and Guzang and Batibo and Sabongari and all these places, we saw votes going in favor of Mr. Biya, who he didn't ask for their vote. And those people don't have representation in Etudi. And yet. So let me just stop here. I would love to bring in Fabrice. Because I want all speakers together. But before Fabrice, Eli, did you?
Yes, we need to go on a money break. We need the money break, and And Kenny is going to be here in a minute. But before he comes in, please let's light up the chat. I mean, I feel like we're waking up different this morning, rightfully so. And we just started, and it's kind of like the plane is taking off. So I just need us to light up the chat. We want to know what you're thinking. And yes, I see Junior, your hand was up. We're going to bring you in. We definitely want to hear from everyone. This conversation is going to flow today. And what makes what we do so unique is the fact, and from day one, is the fact that we are all talking, okay? A few people might be leading a conversation because in order to have a meaningful conversation, but we are all talking. So please, I know more of you have questions and also have comments. Please do not go without, communicating those. This is what makes this conversation so unique, and this is how we have grown. So let me talk about money for a bit. And before I bring Kenny, I want you to know that in this Project C, the project and the organization, we don't have any positions. It's very important that we remember that. Nobody's being paid. But we've been able to do everything we've talked about. We really have put our money in it. Your money, our money in it. From everything, from the elections to flow, from us to stop the intimidation and make these announcements. As you can see, we're in the papers almost every week, and that has been for almost 4 months now. We've been on the papers. That's because of your money. That's what we've been able to do out in villages to get people out. That is because of your feed them. That is because of your money. The feeding the prisoners, helping and supporting the attorneys who are doing pro bono work, that is because of your money. The press conference that happened is because of your money. And I know sometimes we just want money so we can get out and buy weapons, right? But we are evolving as a people. So I think it's really important to know that in everything we're doing, we need money. And I also want to say this one last thing as I introduce Kenny to you, for those of you who have not met him yet. I want us to, as we listen, we've had some great ideas on how to raise funds. There's more ideas coming. So please, we need your ideas. I want you to know that what we're doing is very difficult. It is very challenging, but we know it can be done. It is because as a people, as a country, we have never, hear me say this, we've never come together and put money in the same bucket. We never have. We have been mastered at doing it in different cells. We have never, ever come together. Somebody else had to do it. We're pointing fingers at government or whatever. We're expecting all of this. But for the first time, we're taking charge of our nation. And as we have seen, whether it's a small village that's boring water and that, they still don't have independence. We know wherever you're from in Cameroon, where you have given money, which is good, but I'm saying, has that changed where we are today? So the correction is that the nation comes first. Then maybe a new thought, and it's something that we need to hear over and over. But you know what? I bear the brunt to bring this to you. I want you to know that people, we have to think different. It's easy for us to have those suggestions and say, well, we've done it this way, we've done it that way. No, try it uniquely. Where we have over 200 different tribal languages, where we are divided in official languages, we're divided in religion, and we're coming together. Us understanding this and taking action, soon this is going to be a thing of the past. We're putting money together because we love Cameroon. We're not just saying it. We're not just complaining about things that are not going. We are taking charge. The first way we take charge is for our entire country. So at Project C, what we have done is we have a fundraising committee that's working hard. And I tell you, it is challenging because everybody across the globe, we have people who are all the way in Ghana, now moved to Canada. We have Canada. We have everywhere who are in this fundraiser and across the United States. This is how challenging it is. And every one of them, of course, have, like we know, busy lives, and they are putting time and have put in so many hours into these meetings and more to continue this year. So leading this by voice is Kenny Tender and Angeline Doe, to raise the money because they believe on what we're doing. And we know that we're going to be raising those funds with you. So Ken, I really want to thank you for taking the time. You were here from day one. You've taken your time. You've looked at what we're doing, and you chose to join the right committee. I think you're the perfect guy for this job. So we're very grateful. And I'm just going to pass it on to you.
Okay, thank you, Eli, and thanks everybody else who has spoken so far this morning. So I'm going to keep with the theme that I already talked about, right? The truth, the obvious truth. And this truth it cannot be more obvious than the fact that we are in a real fight that we have never seen like before, right? This is a unique fight, but it's our fight. And when I say it's unique because we're going to fight this fight at all fronts, every front, and all options are on the table. And with that being said, this machine that you guys are listening to and we're watching today comes with a lot of sacrifices that some of you see, a lot that you don't see, and a lot of sacrifice that we're carrying on from people who have already lost the ultimate. Hundreds have lost their lives, right? Thousands have lost their freedom. People don't even have a way, they don't even know what tomorrow looks like. But we come here every Saturday looking to give them hope. But when I say this fight is real and complex, it also requires us to have a dynamic and complex approach to fund the fight. A lot of financial sacrifice has been made. So thanks to all those who have done the sacrifice financially, but the fight continues on and we need your help. We need your help, we need your support. Without you, none of this is possible. But nothing is little and nothing is too much. Because I continue to ask this question, what would it take? How much is too much to reclaim that which belongs to you? That which has been stolen, that which is rightfully yours. Is there a price? How much? Tell me. And all we ask, and all I'm asking you is make a little bit of contribution. One, working from one group to another group, right? We all belong in many different groups. As we all know, we come from many different cultural backgrounds in Cameroon. So let's tap into those resources, right? Coming together as one, like Elise said, united as a people for one purpose, one cause, to reclaim the country that belongs to us. So to those who have given before, thank you so much. We are beyond grateful. For those who haven't, make this your first attempt, and always don't let this call go without you going in there to make your contributions. We've made it so easy for you to make the money. Not everybody can come in here and talk. Not everybody can join a committee and do everything that it takes to support it, but everybody can make a financial contribution. You can use Zelle, it's very simple. You can use the Cash App, PayPal, you can use your credit card. If you log onto the website, I think it's projectcameroon.com, right?
They could just scan their phones, Ken, and I
So
would share the screen, please.
Exactly. So if you go on that website, there's a QR code, you scan it there, you can make your donations. As simple as, you don't even think about it. So guys, this is our fight. It costs a lot of money. A lot of what you guys see, the streaming, all the platforms on which we stream on cost money. All the groups that we have to collaborate with cost money. The legal fight for the people who are back home, fighting for their freedom, cost money. Everything we do costs money. And so that's why I ask you guys, please do the little that you can. Nothing is too little, but we need your money, we need your support, we need your contributions. And so my commercial break is going to be over by asking you, please reach down in your pocket and contribute, help support the cause. Let's win this fight. And I'll come back again to reassure you guys we need your money. And thank you for those who have. And don't let this call finish without you making your contributions.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah, Ken, thanks for that. And for those who have, I think I've already seen a donation come in, and or two donations come in as whilst you're speaking. So that thumbs up to that, and thank you for the two anonymous donors who have donated this morning to.
And Eugene
to
just
this.
asked me, Eugenie, who is also part of the fundraiser, so remember that, please remind them that we're registered non-for-profit, and that donations will be tax deductible. So very important if you were wondering. So we made sure that you're all covered. Let's just go ahead and give the money. Thank you so much.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. I want to, so he just wanted me to thank everybody for this opportunity and to state that he is very, very committed to the work that Project C is doing, and will continue to show up whenever needed and do everything to support us in the fundraising process as well. So I will turn this over to Eric. Did you, what should I go ahead and just introduce Fabrice? We'll bring you up now. Fabrice, and like I said at the very beginning, you were campaign manager to the candidate for the Parti d'Alliance Libérale, Ateki. You were the campaign manager. You were also at a polling station in Yaoundé, I think. Just can't remember the number, but I know it was polling station number 6 or so. In what part of Yaoundé, I cannot remember. But you came out immediately after the vote count to announce that you had no doubt, you have the numbers, that Chiroma won at that polling station, and you became a target. You have since been detained, and very, very rarely you're one of the people that have escaped the grip of the government, and you now find yourself outside Cameroon. A lot of stories have been made about that, but the most important thing is that each one of us, like you, had made the decision that Cameroon needed change, and for that, many people are being persecuted for the fact that they need a change. And for the many people who are being persecuted, all sorts of charges are being fabricated by the regime as a way to hold people, to persecute people, essentially. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And this may be an opportunity. I'm not sure how much you have interacted with Project C, but here at Project C, we are open book. We embrace people from, the one thing we have in common is the betterment of Cameroon. And we're deeply honored to have you ask this conversation to really continue to uphold the truth, because we can never forget what happened in Cameroon, and how we keep the momentum together and move forward as a country. So your perspective will be really welcome here, and then we can go into the intricacies of how you escaped and that's why your perspective.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ray, for giving me the chance. I want management of project. Thank a lot of people that have seen me through till now. I would say my arrest and detention was determined at a very high level. And when I was arrested, it was just a matter of looking for a reason justify targeted detention, arrest, kidnap. They can fabricate whatever reason to do this, and this was exactly the case with me, because I mean, from the onset, I live in Yaoundé, and I was taken to Douala in a completely different town. And for those who know me, all my political activities is in Yaoundé. So taking me to Douala and then coming up with some reasons that were never justified nor proven was just a way to keep me in detention because of my grassroots activism, first, and my strong advocacy for change, secondly, and the role I played in the election, in the presidential election of 2025, because I played a very, very important role. And mind you, I'm one of those who in my own calm, I had to tell my candidate during the negotiations for coalition that it is leaning. Will tell you this. I told him this over engaging in this. We build the young people, and then we look around amongst the other candidates and see who are those who inch and the aspiration of the Cameroonian people. And we saw, and everybody saw, that it was Chiroma. But I had a lot of challenges as a single voice. I wrote a lot of private messages to may he so rest in peace, and he said Ikane. By the time they were arranging to come to Yaoundé and launch the on the 19th, that was September, before the election itself, we're having a discussion with Mimi Mefo, and I said, let the opposition candidate understand that this golden opportunity is unique. And given the number of candidates in this election, if more than 5 candidates don't come together to put their efforts behind one person, it will be very difficult for someone to win. At the point where Cameroonians said, okay, if the oppositions cannot come together, we are going to form the People's Coalition. It was marvelous. I was very glad. I said, oh, wow, okay, let the people do this. Maybe the people could do it as the Burkina Faso guys did it in 2014 with the ousting of Blaise Compaoré. You know, it was a coalition of the people, the civil society, the Ballet Citoyen movement, and they came together and carry out strong actions that put away this guy. So I saw it as an opportunity also for Cameroonians. But as an actor who is already in the field and belong to a CAM, you know, I had limited options, very limited options. But my mind kept telling me, you know, you guys are missing the point. You people are missing the point. You're not going to the right direction. I kept feeling this deep inside of me. And even on the had to go, I mean, along with your boss to the end, which also matters in politics. And that is just the role I played. I had to stay loyal because we started it together with Ateki, and himself was finding himself with difficult decisions to take, you know, with the leader of the party dragging us to another side. And we had to, I mean, have this kind of internal kind of, you know, ideological variance. And this is a lesson for Cameroon. Because the concept of completely different, it's a sham. This doesn't work. All of you can bear with me that all the candidates who took different political parties to run as presidential candidate with different national presidents of this party, it ended in disagreement, in chaos, and even in sabotage. This is what happened. Everybody can bear with this. So during this moment, a lot of people were looking at me as the black sheep of the family at that time. This guy is spoiling things for us. He's making it tough. Because at one point they were like, you have to go to this particular media and say this. I said, no, I can't do that. Conscience does not allow me to do this. And I had the feeling that I was stepping on the toes of certain people by those decisions, by my actions, by the way I was driving the campaign of my candidate, by the kind of actors I was leaning towards them. This is the truth about the whole thing. And that is why on the 12th, on the election day, I was commissioned to, supervise the return reports for over 150 polling stations for Yaoundé 6 subdivision. Yaoundé 6 is made up of the BMRC area, Mendong area, Acacia area, Melen area. That is Yaoundé 6 subdivision. And this part of Yaoundé is majority English-speaking West region people and very few of the indigenous themselves. And the results were very clear. Chiroma won landslide. I visited these places, and till date, I have scanned copies of the return reports that I took from the different polling stations. The return report, I scanned them. I scanned all of them on that day. And what made me to start being in danger is that very interview I granted on the evening of that voting day with MMI platform, where I said Chiroma won in over 150 polling stations from the return report I have gotten from the polling agents that were working under me. And just after that, I had to, we had a conversation, I had a conversation with my candidate. I say, you know, we must position ourselves on the right side of history, and we must make reconciliation with our mind that, okay, the coalition thing was a wrong decision. Acknowledge it, move on, move away from it, and acknowledge the reality of what is on ground now, which is Chiroma has won. Let's do it, because that is just the truth. That is what is supposed to be done. That is what we should do. And that is the point where I started getting messages of, I mean, threats. No, you shouldn't do that. I mean, a lot of messages, a lot of threat messages, but I didn't give up. So you said I have interacted with Project C before. Yes. That evening, I think that was the same evening where Mimi Mefo was anchoring the road to A2D. Yeah. And I was called on the platform to come and share my experience. And I reaffirmed and called again on all the opposition leaders. I think Mimi Mefo quoted that statement. This is the time for Bakari, as he is leading in the polls. The coalition did not work before the election. This is another opportunity for them. That was the statement I made during this interview I had, because I felt that, I mean, the leaders could understand the urgency of the Cameroonian coalition behind a leader securing a victory, and therefore the situation and the atmosphere just demanded to defend that victory, to acknowledge it and to defend it. To my greatest dismay, I saw.
Fabrice, is it okay for me to have a follow-up question to you as you're speaking now?
Of course, please, go ahead.
You were in the arena where all this was going on. And for us who were spectators, even though involved in the grassroots movement, we just cannot bring ourselves to understand why the other candidates, Buba Bello, Cabral Libi, Joshua Osi, all the other candidates, what is it, in your opinion, that stopped them from doing what Ateki did or what Akeremuna did to recognize the outcome of the election? What stopped them? Because let me clear this. There is nothing in the electoral code or Cameroonian penal code that makes announcing results before the Supreme Court, before the Constitutional Council, a crime. It is absolutely not a crime.
Indeed, exactly. There is
no, you cannot have a punishment without a crime, right? And you can't have a crime without punishment. If you look at the penal code, nothing exists there. So I just hope that someone is telling Atanganji this, right? Very, very clear that there is no crime. So anybody who has the results can publish, say what they want about the results at any one time, as long as they have the results. Now, what is it, in your opinion, from your experience, that is holding, because many of them have still not come out to acknowledge the truth, what is holding them from acknowledging this truth that we all know?
You know, before the elections, there was this article from this French media company, Jeune Afrique, who described Cameroon opposition as the la plus bête d'opposition de l'Afrique. And a lot of people criticized that article and said a lot of things. To some extent, they have some truth in it. Because I still find it that you don't need to be a political scientist to see that if just out of the 11 candidates, 6 or 7 came together to say, we're rallying behind this guy. He is the one leading, and we will define how to make a new government thereafter. It will have been more difficult for the greedy elites of Northwest and Southwest to do what they did. And it would have been more difficult for the Constitutional Council to overturn the result the way they did. Because the more united an opposition put their, and takes the regime to task, the more difficult it is for the regime to operate. The more divided they are in political leanings, easy it is for them to carry out this. They refuse to recognize the victory of Issa Chiroma. They and they only. Because a lot of factors, why some of these guys refuse to share the return reports when projects like Project C or the project Mission Doki was running. Most of these guys refuse to share return reports. What's the agenda? Does it mean if the change is not coming through me or coming through him or coming through the other guy, we should not acknowledge it? No. So for me, it translates simply to greed and selfishness and nothing else. Because someone, an imperfect politician, and for a regime change that could lead to constitutional democracy, we could have basic things like limited presidential office mandates. We could have things like, change of the structure and the form of governance. We could have those basic reforms. A country's political evolution is a process, a progressive process. Before neighbors like Nigeria could lead to 4 years renewable ones mandate, presidential office mandate, they have passed through tough times just like us. So it's a process. And then politicians want to acknowledge this process and play their role. But for us, what happened? People refused. So between the 12th of October to the 24th, because I was arrested on Thursday, 24th, between the 12th of October to the 24th, I completely switched. And I told my candidate, I said, well, I am completely switching to acknowledging and defending the victory of Issa Chiroma Bakari. That was my position. And at that point in time, I started writing and talking and granting interviews. Because I wrote to conceal the blatant violation of electoral process, the regime shamefully resorted to enlisting traditional authorities and religious authorities to preach peace and unity, which is always masked, with the concept of social cohesion. How can you preach peace and unity when you are trying at that? That was between 12th of October and the 27th that results were to be released, which means this was the time lapse for them to do the maneuvers and overturn results. You see, so I kept on doing these things, and that is why by the 24th, when I was taken, because I was kidnapped at the Bastos neighborhood, I went to do a private business there. Coming out of the building, I was surrounded by 5 civilian men. 5 civilian. I was surrounded by 5 civilian men. I think one good Samaritan from that tall building took the video and then shared it. And that was how people knew I was taken. And it was in Yaoundé. So I was surrounded by these people, and then they took me away. And that was all. They did not present anything, neither a warrant, neither a convocation, or even properly presented themselves. When I insisted that I need to do it if you keep on asking us stupid questions. And that was it. I was taken, I slept in Yaoundé for a day, and later I was transferred to Douala, and then they started cooking up all the other stories and so on. But I thank God that my fortitude and fortress and the satisfaction I derive is I played the role I had to play, and I keep on playing that role.
Thank you.
And
God saved me.
Thank you so much for being here. I am burning inside. You know, a lot of times in this side of the world where I am, sometimes you get on the plane and, you know, you have somebody from the military, they thank them all the time for serving the country. And I want to thank you for serving our country in this way. I want to thank you for your boldness. Your passion comes through. I'm looking at you and I am so hopeful for Cameroon because you are the kind of leader that Cameroon needs. Total transparency, blatant truth, just blood truth. Nothing will save us from ourselves if we're not as truthful. I mean, passionately. We should be crazy. And you have faced, you saw death coming, you stood in the face of it, you walked right into it, and for God, heaven, I'm telling you, you got saved from that. God saved you. I can't say anybody did. And you stand still. I mean, you have not moved from where you are. I personally, and I know that many people here who just, before we go any further, just want to thank you from where you are. And I know God will continue to protect you and continue to bless you wherever you are. Now, I want to ask you this question also. What does this say of our people? You know, because the thing, like what Ari said, that is so mind-boggling, is that you have people who come and say that they want the country to change. You have, you know, in the elections, multi-partism. But Shiroma wins. They want the best for Cameroon. They don't speak up. I don't get it. They do not speak up. What does this say about us? I mean, you have been there on the ground. You've been in Yaoundé. You've been everywhere. You were in jail. I also want you to, if when you answer this, I know I'm asking you so much. 1 and 2. The first thing is, what does this say about a people? What do we, even out here, learn in this fight and how we're going to build a country? Because you are absolutely that. Nothing is purer than that. And second, what did you experience in jail? I want to know, who are the people who were there? What did you see? I know you were in Yaoundé and they moved you there, because some of us really want to have a glimpse of what goes on. We need to understand how brutal this all is, how unjustified it is, because, you know, without that, how do we really get to see? How do we get to understand so we can, you know, we could know how to act and move forward also as Project C. So thank you so much.
I mean, as a people have their vision and what they really want out of life. I've always been driven by collective interest. Sometimes, as a young person, people ask me why I'm so passionate about the country. I ask myself also the same question: why am I so passionate about the country? Because I started traveling out of the country as far back as 2018, and I visited Europe so many times, visited America. And when I talk with some classmates, they say, this man, you come for year, go back, say you decrease. Josh, you don't you for year. I say, well, you know, my tranquility is disturbed by the fact that some people's destiny are tied to mine. And the movement I run, the civic engagement activities I do, in a way or the other gives hope to some people. And, you know, all of us cannot live in exile. Now, the situation of 2025 is one that makes us to question indeed the intentions of people who say they are politicians and want change. It makes us to question, to want to know to what extent does these people put the collective interests of a population, of a country, above their individual interests. You know, to what extent do these people really want a new dispensation? Because our country has been intertwined in the cobweb of people who are indeed so corrupt, so transactional, and the system in Cameroon obligates everyone to become transactional. Because if you're driving a car from Yaoundé to Douala, and you pass through a police check, sometimes you want to go run a business, but you stop there, and then there is absolutely nothing wrong with you, but this guy could delay you there with unnecessary conversation, unnecessary checks, that you just have to give the 1,000 francs and go to where you're going. There you're doing what we call participating in an involuntary corruption. And this is an institutional way of behaving in the country. Now, politicians to a certain magnitude who collaborates and talks with the system and then participate in the activities and so on and so forth, they and they alone know in their heart of heart and minds what is withholding them to come out and speak. Because if nothing is withholding you, you would talk. I talk because nothing is withholding me. So they say, you know, when someone has a skeleton in the cupboard, the person will not talk. I don't have any. They try to check, find, and do everything, and even frame me. They could not, they can't. And God say, my son, I will remove you from there, just like the Bible says. And he did. Now, there is something I want to talk about. There are a lot of people languishing in the prisons. And where I came from, in Douala, you know, there is this senior man, Esama Hoha, the guy who does a lot of activism in Douala. He's still there. He needs a lot of support. You know, there are minors there that need a lot of support. So those are people that needs to be checked. There are a lot of other persons that are into very terrible conditions. We all know the prison conditions in the country. I'm not the first to experience that. People have told the stories and they are still telling the stories. It's tough. And if you do not have people who cater for you, you might fall sick and you will likely die, because people die there every day. So the conditions are only a little bit surviving for those who have people who they can cater for, who can take nurse to come and check them there, who can be able to have someone who is dedicated just for you, getting you food from outside every day and making sure that it doesn't pass through the hands of these very wicked people. I describe the way these people conceive those who do not agree with them politically as, it seems as if their motto is wickedness. Because I don't understand how, there is courtesy even in the way you treat people with whom you do not agree politically. You're not dealing with criminals. You're dealing with fellow humans with whom you disagree politically. There is a certain level of maturity in the way you treat these people, but this is not the case. So there are a lot of people in need of help. There are a lot of people in need of support. And what everyone should know is the capacity of the prisons are beyond what it should normally contain. Human rights groups need to know these things. The capacity of the prison, they are taking more than what they should. On the day they were announcing the results of the election, I was still at the judicial police in Bonanjo Douala. I saw things that what my head recorded. Sometimes when I sit alone, it traumatized me. It traumatized me because that was the day I saw the brutality of man against man. And even when it's man against man, if you're exercising that kind of violence of state power, it should be to measures, not minors. I saw minors, children, brutalized to that extent that, sometimes it shackles. It makes you to, you can develop that attitude of absolutely becoming radical and just maybe you die in the process, or you just restrain, because it's disturbing in the mind to see these things. And it's disturbing, for your eye lenses to be recording this kind of things, and then the mind is storing them somewhere, and then it comes back to the memory like that. It's horrible. I can just say there's a special grace of God on me. Yeah, I have the special grace of God, and God loves me especially. And even before I engaged in this election this year, my instincts were telling me that you're going to experience a lot of tough times, but you will be safe at the end. And it just happened like that. It just happened like that. So I just thank God, and I thank every other person that in the process participated in a way or the other to support me. And even those who at one point were sending support while I was in detention, those who sent support after I left detention, and those who ask, who send messages. I'm truly, truly grateful. And President Chiroma's team, I mean, you have to be more than ever united and strong, and I appreciate you all for those who call. I'm grateful.
Wow. I know Herman and Eric, we want you to give your remarks. Don't go anywhere. But we have P. Javier, who has been hands has been up. So please, I definitely want him to. If you're unmuted.
Elisabeth, merci Ali, merci à tout un chacun de nous pour cette rencontre. C'est la première fois que j'y assiste. C'est Baudelaire qui m'a invité à cette rencontre et je suis très, très content. Moi, c'est le père Janvier Sidje. Je suis missionnaire ici à Mexico City depuis 30 ans. Alors, depuis environ 5 ans, j'ai décidé de m'engager dans ce combat. Donc, ça dit que si mon intervention est... Je ne sais pas très bien. Je remercie vraiment François qui a fait un mémoire pour ce qui s'est passé et notre frère qui a l'autre intervenant qui a animé les jeunes et Fabrice qui a ce qu'on devrait faire. Il y a une chose qui me taraude le plus, la ciboule. J'ai l'impression que nous avançons très bien. Mais on a une difficulté qui est unique. Nous sommes plus divisés que les cheveux. On est ensemble, on ne se mélange pas. On est là sur la tête, les cheveux, sur la même tête, et on fait le même travail, mais chacun tire de son côté. Et François l'a bien relevé dans son intervention en disant que nous devons nous mettre ensemble. Et je pense que aussi à part de la synergie, d'unir les forces afin que nous puissions avancer tous ensemble. Et je vois que nous avons plusieurs personnes. On a tellement de nos frères et sœurs camerounais et camerounaises engagés dans ce combat. J'ai fait un message à Eric Tchingé tout à l'heure. Je disais qu'il était dans une réunion avec moi. On lui a confié un message. Nous avons fait un feedback. Moi, c'est le père Janvier du Front Libération du Cameroun. Donc, j'ai demandé. Moi, ce que je voudrais dire que le projet, je vais poser une question à Elisabeth ou à Henri. Qu'est-ce que le projet est en train de proposer pour une libération immédiate? Parce que cette histoire, ça dure plus de 40 ans. Il y a d'aucuns d'entre vous qui ils sont nés là-dedans, grandis dedans, ils savent parce qu'on en a vécu avant. Donc, ça dure plus de 40 ans. Qu'est-ce que vous nous proposez vraiment? Et que nous puissions faire pour sortir de ce trône ennemi. Donc, vraiment, projet, si vous pouvez nous aider, nous donner des idées, comment faire, nous serons très contents. Moi, dans 10 minutes, je vais partir. Il y a Baudelaire qui est là, qui peut répondre à toutes les questions que vous voulez me poser, il va répondre. Mais vraiment, je voulais demander au projet qu'est-ce que vous nous proposez? Comment allons-nous nous comporter pour sortir du trône ennemi?
Oui.
Parce que j'ai l'impression qu'on a tous le même projet, presque tous le même projet, peut-être le procédé différent d'une manière ou d'une autre. Mais qu'allons-nous faire? Allons-nous laisser nos enfants, nos petits-enfants, nos neveux continuer avec cette souffrance-là? Eric disait dans son intervention, quand je suis entré, de la dette que ces gens sont en train de contracter pour maintenir, pour souder les gens. Qui va les payer? Moi, je pense qu'il y a une urgence que nous puissions vraiment, comme dit François, nous mettre ensemble. Nous ne devons pas tomber dans l'erreur de nos politiciens camerounais. En 92, on avait un très très bon candidat, mais pour résoudre certaines choses, ça n'a pas marché. Les gens, chacun a voulu aller de son côté. Et aujourd'hui, même sans que l'opinion politique, les politiciens puissent nous donner un candidat, le peuple a choisi un candidat. Allons-nous rester les bras croisés ou bien allons-nous faire quelque chose? Moi, c'est la petite question que je voudrais. Excusez-moi, hein, c'est la première fois que je viens à cette réunion-là, à cette réunion-ci. Et c'est Baudelaire qui m'a invité. Moi, je fais partie du Front de libération du Cameroun, FLK. Et on s'est mis ensemble, on n'a pas créé. On s'est mis ensemble quand les choses n'allaient pas pour dire que qu'allons-nous faire? Nous sommes environ 4 ou 5 organisations, nous sommes ensemble. Et le front, ce n'est pas un mouvement, non, c'est un ensemble de groupes qui sont mis ensemble pour pouvoir apporter sa contribution à la libération du peuple camerounais. Oui. Et notre peuple, comment on dit ça? La devise, je voulais parler en espagnol, ce que nous voulons faire, nous ne sommes pas un parti politique. Oui. Il y a des politiciens parmi nous, mais ce qui nous intéresse, c'est la libération du peuple. Que pouvons-nous faire ensemble, vraiment, pour que d'ici 2 ou 3 mois, on puisse se mettre ensemble, que le peuple camerounais dit que, OK, je suis content parce qu'on a respecté mon choix. Parce qu'il s'est passé ce matin chez nous ici en bas au Venezuela, où quelqu'un dit que non, c'est pas ce qu'on veut. Même si nous voulons ça, mais que ce soit des Camerounais. On ne pas sortir d'une prison pour aller dans une autre. Oui, mais c'est vrai.
Merci, Père Jean,
merci.
pour cette question. Je vais laisser soit Herman d'abord et Eric à répondre à cette question. Mais avant de passer la parole, je vais juste dire, tu as bien évoqué le problème. Il n'y aura jamais une solution si on ne connaît pas la racine. La racine du problème qu'on a au Cameroun, c'est qu'on n'a jamais réussi à se mettre ensemble. Si on peut réussir cela, le reste va venir. Pour moi, je pense que c'est ça la solution. Si on reste dans les différents camps, différents groupes, les différents partis politiques, les différentes régions, les différentes ethnies, c'est ça qui a fait réussir le régime de Biya. C'est ça qui a fait en sorte que 40 ans après, nous sommes toujours dans la situation, pire même de là où on était il y a 40 ans. C'est justement parce qu'on n'arrive pas à mettre nos intérêts personnels en dessus de l'intérêt national. Pour moi, il faut d'abord commencer à identifier le problème. Et si on réussit à se mettre ensemble, pas comme 300 partis politiques, pas comme 200 ethnies, pas comme des personnes qui parlent anglais ou français, mais des Camerounais. Si on n'arrive pas à le faire, on ne va pas réussir à s'en sortir. Pour moi, c'est ça le problème. Et un projet, c'est notre objectif, c'est d'abord rassembler la diaspora sur cet élan et en plus soutenir la masse populaire au Cameroun à se réunir au-delà des... Il y a des gens qui ont voté Chiroma qui ne connaissent même pas de quel parti il appartient. Et c'est ça qu'il faut. Les Camerounais nous ont montré la voie. Il faut qu'on suive ce chemin qui a été montré par les Camerounais, et surtout la jeunesse camerounaise. Il faut qu'on suive ce chemin. Ils ont choisi ça, qu'au-delà des partis politiques, au-delà des ethnies, au-delà des différences linguistiques, on a un destin commun. C'est ça qu'il faut suivre. And I'll leave this to Herman. I know you've been burning to ask, and I know Francois too wants to come in. There's Baudelaire. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
That's how
Ah,
rich.
Ce n'est pas facile de parler après des speeches comme ça. Hein. C'est pas facile de parler après que le père ait fait un si bon speech et surtout Fabrice. On se demande bien qu'est-ce qu'on peut apporter de nouveau. Merci Fabrice. Merci beaucoup pour l'engagement sur le terrain. Ça marque beaucoup et ça montre qu'on a des Camerounais sur le terrain qui peuvent porter haut le flambeau de cette lutte. Merci beaucoup au père qui est à Mexico. J'ai oublié son prénom.
Père Janvier.
Le père Janvier.
Janvier.
Oui, merci beaucoup. C'est un peu antinomique quand on entend père et on entend Front de libération du Cameroun. C'est comme antinomique, mais ça montre qu'on a des...
L'évangile n'est pas pour endormir. L'évangile, c'est pour rendre le peuple libre et heureux. Donc, c'est ça la mission de l'Église.
Merci.
Même si de temps en temps, elle est tronquée, la mission de l'Église, c'est la libération du peuple.
Merci beaucoup. Vraiment, ce que Père Janvier touche est fondamental. Et ça nous rappelle des gens comme Monseigneur Dormeau, Monseigneur Cuissu. Ça nous rappelle des gens qui ont travaillé vraiment pour que le peuple camerounais, surtout du temps de l'UPC. Merci beaucoup. J'ai voulu revenir sur Fabrice pour l'encourager et pour dire, nous, il y a eu une question que le père Fabrice, que le père Janvier a posée. Regardons un peu comment la colonisation, on a un régime qui a hérité du système colonial, le système de la division, de la balkanisation. Donc, en 92, on sait que c'est le professeur Joseph Owona qui a créé le concept d'englobamie quand John Frundi convainquait les Camerounais. Un jeune libraire comme John Frundi qu'on ne connaissait pas, qui en a eu marre du système et qui s'est levé. Et en réaction, qu'est-ce que le régime a fait? Il a hérité de ce que la France avait fait. Puisqu'on avait vu la France diviser, eux, ils se sont rapidement mis dans cette option mode de division, mode de tribalisme, et ils ont dit que John Frundi, c'était le candidat des anglobamies. C'est comme ça qu'il l'avait étiqueté. Pour l'éloigner des nordistes, pour l'éloigner des gens du sud, de l'est et du littoral. Mais ça n'avait pas pris. Très rapidement, en 2018, ils ont aussi associé Maurice Kamto au Bamileke, très rapidement. Et c'est son fils, cette fois-là, qui est sorti avec le concept de tontinat. Et quand la crise anglophone a commencé, il a dit que ce n'était pas des anglophones, que c'était des pidginophones. Donc, on voit de façon totalement péjorative comment ils se sont attelés à tordre totalement le langage. Et quand il le disait, des gens applaudissaient. Ce n'est pas des anglophones, c'est des pidginophones. Ils ne connaissent pas l'anglais. Voilà de quelle façon ils ont identifié. Et c'est très intéressant comment François a insisté sur le fait de documenter. Lorsque nous faisons des conférences comme celle-ci et que nous gardons une traçabilité, c'est capital. On parle beaucoup des événements de l'UPC de 1957, mais on n'a même pas beaucoup d'archives. Peut-être que si on avait eu les archives, ça aurait plus facilement éduqué le peuple camerounais. Si on avait eu des vidéos, merci encore à François. Merci beaucoup à ceux qui ont fait des vidéos sur la crise post-électorale. Le 24 décembre, je n'ai pas pu fêter, parce que je pensais à 60 personnes qui ont été tuées. Et donc, j'ai passé tout mon 24 décembre à poster les vidéos des films qui avaient été faits sur les meurtres. Pour dire, pendant que nous sommes en train de célébrer Christmas, il y a les mamans qui pleurent encore. Il y a les papas qui enterrent, certains n'ont même pas encore eu le corps de leur personne. Il y a Anissé Kane qui est là. On n'est même pas encore sûr si le gouvernement même sera ouvert à libérer son corps. Donc, le 24 et le 25 décembre, ça a été très difficile pour moi de continuer ma vie normalement. Et ça s'est répété le 31 décembre. Je voyais les gens s'envoyer des félicitations. Donc, moi, ma part de félicitations, c'était de partager encore la vidéo à tout le monde pour dire on n'est pas dans un contexte de fête. On n'est pas dans un contexte de nouvelle année. On est dans un contexte où il faut pleurer avec ceux qui ont eu le courage de sortir, dire que l'élection du 12 octobre était fraudée. Et elle a été fraudée. Et il faut qu'on répète toujours qu'elle a été fraudée. Et qu'il y a eu 60 personnes qui ont été tuées et qu'il y a eu 2000 qui ont été emprisonnés. Et quand on s'est plaint, à Tanganji, il a dit qu'il a libéré 500, même s'il dit vrai, il y en a encore 2000. Fabrice parlait de Essama, qu'on connaît bien, qui est en prison. Il n'est pas le seul en prison. Njukam Tchameni est en prison. Ce qui s'ajoute à tous les prisonniers de la crise anglophone, à tous les prisonniers de 2018. On a au moins 5000 prisonniers en prison. Et on ne peut pas continuer simplement comme si on n'avait rien fait. Donc, il faut toujours rappeler que tout est parti du 12 octobre. Et pour arriver au 12 octobre et pour que certaines personnes continuent de marcher normalement à Yaoundé, ils ont balkanisé la résistance. Ils ont divisé les Camerounais. Et ils ont institué le tribalisme dans l'esprit des Camerounais. Au point que dans nos réunions, on a fini par dire qu'on ne parle plus de politique. Si vous avez remarqué, dans beaucoup de groupes, on a décidé de ne plus parler de politique, ce qui m'énerve particulièrement. Parce qu'on ne peut pas avoir un pays comme le Cameroun et on décide qu'on ne va pas parler de politique alors que c'est la politique qui sous-tend toutes les actions. Donc, le premier pas, si on peut le faire, c'est de documenter comme on est en train de faire, de documenter tout ce qui s'est passé, de ne jeter aucun PV, de ne rien jeter. Quelqu'un a mentionné ce qui s'est passé aujourd'hui au Venezuela. On ne veut pas que quelqu'un d'autre intervienne, mais si le peuple, à un certain moment, si ça a été facilité, c'est parce que le peuple aussi est fatigué. À l'élection de 2024, qu'est-ce que Maduro a fait? Il n'a pas publié les résultats des élections. Ça vous rappelle quelque chose? Il a publié de faux résultats. Les procès-verbaux qui ont été collectés par l'opposition à Maduro donnaient l'opposition vainqueur à 62%. Ça vous rappelle encore un certain chiffre de façon très amusante. Le même chiffre, malgré qu'ils avaient les procès-verbaux, on a décidé de ne même pas regarder leurs procès-verbaux. Ce sont des choses qui énervent la population. De façon que lorsqu'il y a une étincelle, la population n'est pas là pour protéger son leader. Donc, si les leaders africains veulent à un moment compter sur leur population, la première chose est de rendre la justice à cette population-là. C'est pourquoi c'est facile pour une puissance internationale, une puissance étrangère, de venir faire ce qu'elle a à faire, même si ce n'est pas juste, même si ce n'est pas bien. C'est facilité par le fait que des leaders ont rendu la tâche facile à ceux qui viennent d'ailleurs. Donc, les présidents qui exercent de fait le pouvoir en Afrique doivent comprendre cela. Ils sont en train d'ouvrir des bancs qu'ils pourront ne pas être capables de refermer. Donc, la deuxième chose, après avoir documenté, c'est de rappeler aux Camerounais qu'ils se tirent eux-mêmes une balle dans le pied lorsqu'ils donnent cours au tribalisme, lorsqu'ils permettent d'étiqueter un candidat comme étant du Nord, comme étant anglophone, comme étant bamileke, comme étant du Sud. Ça, c'est la deuxième chose qu'il faut transcender. Et peut-être la troisième chose, pas peut-être, la troisième chose, c'est au niveau des partis politiques, des leaders politiques. Aujourd'hui, j'ai vu un leader politique qui se prenait vraiment beaucoup de balles sur Twitter parce qu'il a écrit que les inscriptions sur les listes électorales, sur le fichier électoral commencent le 1er janvier. Et ça a été une déception totale. Je ne vais pas donner le nom de ce candidat, mais vous pouvez imaginer. Donc, un fichier national qu'on n'a jamais publié. Quand un candidat qui a participé aux élections de 2025, le 1er janvier, il fait fi de tous ceux qu'on a tués. Il fait fi de toute la revendication du 12 octobre. Il fait fi de tous ceux qui sont emprisonnés. Et il a le courage de rappeler aux Camerounais qu'il faut s'inscrire sur le fichier national. Est-ce que ce n'est pas une insulte à la mémoire des Camerounais? Donc, ce sont des choses comme ça qu'il faut transcender. Et je suis très content que Fabrice ait eu le courage de s'adresser à son parti pour dire non. On a un leader. Il a beau ne pas être notre candidat, il a beau ne pas être notre leader, c'est celui que le peuple est en train de choisir. Donc, le troisième chantier, peut-être un des plus importants, c'est de convaincre, de parler aux leaders politiques pour leur dire, vous n'êtes pas politicien pour avoir le changement par vous. Vous êtes politicien pour avoir le changement que le peuple veut. Et à partir du moment où ils peuvent comprendre ça, s'ils ne peuvent pas comprendre, il faudrait que des gens comme Fabrice, des militants, le leur rappellent. Et on sait que ça s'est passé comme ça avec l'UNDP. Lorsqu'on demandait la coalition et que ça ne se passait pas, c'est la jeunesse de l'UNDP qui avait commencé à dire, il y a une émergence, il y a un candidat qui émerge et il faut peut-être, le temps est peut-être venu peut-être de se rallier à lui. Donc voilà 3 points importants, mais il faut que le peuple camerounais répète ce qu'on a pu voir après l'élection. Ça a été marquant que les Camerounais se mettent par eux-mêmes à documenter les procès-verbaux, à filmer, à prendre des notes, à enregistrer, à garder. Si aujourd'hui on demandait à avoir toutes les preuves de chaque bureau de vote, on est susceptible de les avoir parce que les Camerounais ont pris sur eux d'enregistrer avec leur téléphone. Ils ont défendu leurs procès-verbaux. Il nous semble que c'est de lui-même de prendre les choses en main. Mais ça demande un certain leadership quand même, un certain leadership. Et ce leadership-là, c'est celui que la société civile, associée aux leaders d'opinion, aux leaders politiques pourront conduire. Mais le peuple camerounais devrait à un certain moment oublier ce qui n'est pas nécessaire. Je dis souvent, je n'ai rien contre le football, mais à un moment, c'est important de voir entre l'effervescence qu'il y a autour du football et l'effervescence qui devrait conduire notre désir de libération, qu'est-ce qui est plus important? Voilà ce qui me vient vraiment, voilà ce qui vient vraiment à l'esprit. De façon très pratique, le Père Janvier, Projectif voudrait voir les Camerounais se mettre à défendre au niveau de leur groupe, au niveau de leurs réunions, au niveau de leur Ndjangui, au niveau de leurs universités, que tout le monde puisse se sentir leader. Un leadership individualisé, une résistance sans figure visible d'un leadership. Si tous les Camerounais peuvent être des leaders, la tâche peut sembler grande, mais c'est un travail herculien, mais progressif. Le Père Janvier avait posé la question, qu'est-ce que Projecti propose de façon concrète? Au niveau où nous en sommes, il faut que tous les Camerounais, à chaque niveau, dans leurs réunions, dans leur université, dans leurs écoles, dans les partis, qu'on comprenne le message urgent de changer complètement le paradigme au niveau de celui d'un peuple qui se prenne en main. Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Herman. C'était très, très profond. Et ça nous amène à bien réfléchir et penser, c'est-à-dire souvent on cherche la solution, mais par nous. La solution est dans chacun de nous. Chacun de nous doit donner quelque chose pour rendre tout le monde heureux. Oui, on doit se sacrifier pour rendre tout le monde heureux au Cameroun. Eric, did you want to add, or François? I see also Baudelaire.
Muted.
François and Baudelaire speak.
Yes, let's go. François, après ce que Herman a dit, suite à la question posée par le Père Janvier, qu'est-ce que I also see that Terence's hand is up, right?
I just want a quick reminder as we move on, because I know people are very touched. Just remember that you have to do something. $100 a month. Right now, we've already have all the information. You know, we're boldly saying this, and we're boldly going to be saying this. We have to put money down. Money is why we're here, is why it's not why we're here, is why we've made the difference, is why we continue to be here, not to support us being here. Many of us are, you know, putting this technology together, using our own funds to do that. We mean to impact Cameroon and keep this fight going on. It is because of that. So please just remember, get on the chat and donate as you hear, as your heart moves. Thank you.
Oui.
Yeah, thank you.
Et rapidement, hein, je voulais réagir sur deux, trois petits points qui me semblent importants par rapport à tout ce qu'on s'est dit. Et ce qui, je pense, qui est extrêmement important pour moi, en tout cas, ces début d'année, c'est de ne pas oublier, comme on a dit tout à l'heure, que les Camerounais nous ont montré la voie. De deux façons. Dans la mobilisation et le courage, parce que ça, c'est quelque chose qui est fondamental, et dans la façon de faire, c'est-à-dire en utilisant la technologie. Parce que les Camerounais ont filmé avec des téléphones, en fait. Ils ont documenté eux-mêmes. Donc ça, c'est vraiment important. Ça veut dire que nous devons nous inspirer de ça. Parce que moi, je n'aime pas trop parler des hommes politiques, ça ne m'intéresse pas. Moi, ce qui m'intéresse, c'est le pays et c'est le peuple. C'est comment rendre le peuple plus fort, comment rendre le peuple plus souverain, parce que c'est ça la clé. Un peuple qui est fort, qui est conscient, va amener les politiciens à un autre niveau. Je pense que c'est comme ça qu'il faut réfléchir, à mon avis. Donc, si nous devons travailler à éduquer notre population, à lui donner les outils, et aujourd'hui, on a la technologie pour ça. On a les outils technologiques de l'image pour ça. Si on arrive à faire comprendre au peuple que ce qui s'est passé le 12, parce que pour moi, le 12 octobre est vraiment fondateur. Ça a vraiment posé les bases de quelque chose. Et je pense que c'est quelque chose qui va... Moi, je pense qu'il faut penser le pays en termes de génération. Parce que quand j'entends qu'est-ce qu'on va faire pour ces libérations, on a tous envie que ça se passe dans les prochaines semaines. Mais je pense qu'il faut aller au-delà de ça et se projeter dans un Cameroun sur plusieurs générations. Et le témoignage de notre ami tout à l'heure est quelque chose qui m'a beaucoup bouleversé et qui me fait penser à ce que je disais au début. Nous devons absolument utiliser ce genre de paroles pour faire passer le message au Cameroun et ailleurs. Les Camerounais sont courageux. Il y a des Camerounais qui ont mis le pays et les Camerounais au-delà de leur intérêt personnel. Et ils sont là. C'est des témoins vivants. Mon métier, c'est le cinéma, c'est-à-dire c'est de fabriquer les histoires avec des super-héros. Mais nos vrais héros, ce sont ces gens-là. C'est souvent des gens ordinaires. Et si nous pouvons faire en sorte que ces gens-là deviennent modèles dans la nouvelle société que nous voulons construire, je pense que ça va nous amener à avoir un message qui est plus impactant, en fait, et avoir un changement qui soit un vrai changement en profondeur. Donc, c'est un peu ce que je voulais dire, en fait. Et je pense qu'il faut vraiment qu'en tant qu'organisation, on commence à réfléchir sur comment capitaliser sur ces histoires, comment les documenter à la fois pour les préserver, mais pour les utiliser aussi comme outil d'éducation. Parce que on doit réapprendre aux gens à aimer la justice, la vérité et la rigueur, la vraie rigueur. Et on a des exemples vivants. On a des gens qui sont là, qui ont vécu ça, qui ont donné de leur chair, de leur sang pour ça, et ils peuvent parler à d'autres Camerounais. Ce n'est pas de l'imaginaire, en fait. Et moi, je pleure qu'on n'utilise pas assez cette parole et ces personnes-là pour pouvoir justement faire passer le message plus facilement.
Merci beaucoup, François. Just before I go to Baudelaire, I see that Terence, you've had your hand up for a while, and I just want to allow for Terence to ask. But Francois, you make some really, really good points that I think every time I come to this Project C conversations, I leave really rich in thought, because what this allows me, and I hope that this allows many Cameroonians, is to think beyond your personal convictions. If we have the ability to reason beyond our personal conviction, because too often we think we have all the answers, and we always think our position is right. But I think for us to get to where we need to get to as a country, we must have the ability to walk in each other's shoes, to feel the pain of the child that's going to be born tomorrow in Campo, in the Eastern Province, who has no hope for what the future is going to look like for them, who is not sitting in the room today deciding what debts the country carries, but whose future is mortgaged by people who have no interest in that child's future. And I think that is what many of us need to be able to get. If we can ask ourselves, what is it that I may give so others may thrive, and for our common prosperity, because that's really what matters. We've been told too often that for us to succeed, another person must fail, that I must build for myself and my family, and not necessarily think about what that means for my neighbor. How is it that as a people we have lost our humanity, that we cannot be able to know what is right for all of us, and we choose what is wrong so that as an individual I may prosper? And that's Cameroon's problem. It's nothing else. Yes, BI is the problem. Yes, but all of those people think putting themselves first before the 30 million Cameroonians, and that's the issue. Terence, then we'll come back to Baudelaire, and then we're going to start wrapping up. But again, please look at the chat. The donate link is there. Support this. If we have to win, we need to build a war chest. Yes, Terence.
Yes, I'll continue exactly from where you ended. One of the most important things, I am very excited today. It is a new year, but one of the most important things is not only making a donation, but sharing the link to somebody who is waiting for that link to make a donation. There are lots of people that don't yet have the link, and you are the only connection between you, us, and that person. So people want change, they don't know how. Your neighbor, your friend, your relative, please share the link and let them give their widow's mite, and let us all come together to see how that change can be affected. So apart from giving your talent, please make your donation, but most importantly, share the link. Share the link, share the link. You never know whose life would be impacted by them making a donation. I think 2026 is a great year. Last year, we did lay the foundation. A leader was selected. Everybody is out for change. Even the people that are talking against change internally want change. They just need help from all of us to get that change. So it is a great year. And coming back to what Fabrice said earlier on, very critical. It was the people that came together, not the parties. Now the people have to come together again, irrespective of location, irrespective of language, irrespective of their marital status, where they are married to, whatever the case. Financially, we are all tied together. So I am very excited, and I see that in the next few weeks, in the next few days, us coming together as Cameroonians is very powerful, and it is what is going to bring that change. So please, I don't know whether I can share my level of excitement, but if you get it, you get it. If you don't get it, I'm going to send a mosquito to bite you and give you that level of excitement. So have a good one, and thank you, moderators. Thank you for our visitors, and as usual, we're here and ready to go. Let's do something.
Thank you very much, Terence, for that. And Baudelaire, I know you were you joined us last week, and this week you didn't come alone. You brought with you Père Janvier. You must have found something in this Project C conversation that excited you to go and be some sort of fisher of men, so to speak, to use the biblical connotation, to bring Père Janvier. But in the context of the theme that we have today, really, how do we uphold this truth? How do we ensure that we do not forget what the people of Cameroon do? How do we celebrate our heroes who are the people of Cameroon? On this beginning of the new year, we celebrate them for what they did. And how do we keep the momentum from your perspective, Baudelaire?
Merci beaucoup. Happy New Year. Et je vais dire qu'on a déjà beaucoup de choses que Dieu nous a données. Parce que nous pensons, on pleure beaucoup chaque jour, Dieu a abandonné le Cameroun. Mais Dieu nous a aussi donné des personnes extraordinaires. Eric en fait partie. Je dis toujours à Eric que peut-être en tant que personne, il ne sait pas ce qu'il représente pour le Cameroun. C'est nous qui pouvons refléter ce qu'il représente. Que Dieu vient sur 30 millions de personnes, mais ces personnes rares qu'on ne peut pas corrompre, qui ne peuvent pas passer aussi par derrière, prendre leurs milliards et vivre Et aujourd'hui, tout ce qu'il a été est en train de se mettre en place. Parce que j'ai dit à Eric plusieurs fois que ce que le peuple camerounais a besoin aujourd'hui, et beaucoup de gens, c'est un message et des gens qui leur font confiance. Quand on va trouver ce message, on va libérer le Cameroun. On a déjà Eric, on a Maître Alice Com, qui sont des voix, il y a quelques personnes comme ça qui sont des voix tellement puissantes, et on a déjà la chance que Dieu nous a donné ces personnes. C'est très compliqué, je sais, pour Eric, parce qu'il y a tellement de choses là-dedans, il y a tellement de gens là-dedans, et il est en train de faire beaucoup pour essayer de mettre tous ces gens ensemble. Que Dieu, au courant de cette année, inspire tous ceux comme vous. Je suis arrivé à Projet ici depuis, je crois, je ne sais plus très bien, peut-être quelque chose comme 16 ou 20, quelque chose d'octobre, mais je n'ai jamais intervenu, comme j'ai dit la dernière fois. Parce que dès que j'ai seulement entendu que Eric était part des gens qui ont fondé ça, j'ai dit waouh. Et c'est comme ça avec beaucoup de Camerounais. Donc je veux dire que quoi? Je veux dire que on a beaucoup d'espoir en quelque chose dont Eric peut être derrière. Et travaillons pour trouver le message qui va résonner dans l'esprit de tous les Camerounais. Le Front national de libération est en train de penser à ce message. Et Père Janvier, comme vous l'avez vu, c'est le fondateur de ce front-là. J'ai fondé j'ai coordonné le chevalier du changement, USA, et j'ai rejoint ce front de libération. Donc, prions beaucoup pour que cette année qui va unifier les Camerounais, qui va les permettre, au-delà peut-être du président élu, prendre finalement conscience qu'il y a un problème sérieux. Parce que cette élection nous a montré. Aujourd'hui, je suis en train de dire aux gens, mais ils se moquent de moi, mais je dis c'est la vérité. Ces gens sont en train de nous montrer que un chien ou bien un porc peut diriger le Cameroun. Yeah. Et puis, ils peuvent décider aujourd'hui qu'ils vont installer comme président du Cameroun un porc. Et il y a ainsi énormément, un merci infiniment pour tout ce que vous faites. Dieu va continuer à inspirer beaucoup de gens comme François, donner le courage à d'autres jeunes comme Fabrice. Allez, je vous écoute tous les jours ici. Et je me demande si nos réunions sont recorded. Parce que parfois, quand j'écoute Elisabeth, j'ai envie de dire, comment je peux retenir tout ça pour moi? How can I retenir tout ça pour moi pour être capable de répéter ça? Parce que les Camerounais ont besoin de certains segments. Et ça, c'est quelque chose sur lequel nous devons aussi travailler. Les Camerounais ont besoin de certains segments de nos interventions pour écouter. Et parce que on dit que le Cameroun, les gens pensent qu'il y a un spirituel, something dedans. Mais je pense que on a besoin, nous aussi, nous avons besoin de travailler la conscience des Camerounais. Les faire comprendre là où, deep, ce qu'ils sont dedans. Donc, parfois, certaines de vos interventions, la façon dont vous prenez les choses, doivent être partagées dans la semaine, partagées dans les groupes, partagées dans les groupes. C'est un travail qu'on doit faire. Et je ne sais pas, ça c'est pour François, je ne sais pas si tout ce que vous avez documenté, si on peut avoir un livre, ou bien si on peut faire ça, un livre, moi je serais fier de l'avoir sur mon chef ici, pour cette élection, pour dire, passer aux enfants que voilà ce qui s'est passé en 2025. Si on a un bouclet peut-être de 100 pages, je ne sais pas combien de pages, qui retrace les images et tout, et tout, et tout, ce serait bien. On peut aussi vendre ça aux Camerounais. Et si on a aussi une vidéo, je ne sais que les vidéos, ça devient obsolète, mais un livre serait très, très important pour garder un livre. Voilà, c'est tout ce que je peux dire. Merci infiniment. Je suis très fier d'être ici chaque dimanche. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Baudelaire, d'avoir partagé ce moment avec nous. François, je vais te passer la parole pour tes mots finaux avant de passer la parole à Eric. François.
Oui, c'est vraiment une fierté, hein. C'est une fierté pour moi parce qu'on est, on est vraiment là, on est au service du Cameroun et on est au service de notre peuple. Donc, c'est vraiment une fierté. C'est vrai que c'est une grande responsabilité, mais c'est surtout une fierté, en fait, de pouvoir apporter la petite contribution que chacun de nous peut apporter. Et comme je mettais dans mes petits messages dans le chat, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut faire et qu'on doit faire, en fait. En tout cas, dans mon domaine à moi. Je vois vraiment beaucoup, beaucoup de choses qu'on doit faire. C'est pour ça que j'ai lancé un appel à mes autres collègues, en fait, qu'on se mette ensemble. Parce qu'il y a beaucoup, si on a des vidéos, en fait, même de 5-6 minutes, par exemple, si Eric va à un meeting avec une responsable, plutôt que de faire une introduction d'1 heure, il monte une petite vidéo de 5 minutes qui résume parfaitement quelque chose. Je pense que ça peut faciliter. C'est à ça que je pense, en fait. Il y a des petites choses entre guillemets comme ça, qu'on peut produire, on a les ressources pour ça, et qui peuvent être utiles, en fait, pour le travail qu'on est en train de faire. Documenter. Et c'est surtout, j'insiste beaucoup sur les témoignages, et notamment des jeunes hommes comme Fabrice qui a témoigné tout à l'heure, qui a une expérience assez extraordinaire que les Camerounais doivent connaître et apprendre. Parce qu'on doit s'inspirer de nous-mêmes, on doit s'inspirer de nos histoires, on doit s'inspirer de nos compatriotes qui ont fait des choses, parce que le gouvernement qui est en face a tellement montré des mauvais exemples de corruption, de manque d'intégrité, de manque d'amour, qu'on ne peut renverser ça avec nos propres histoires d'autres Camerounais qui ont eu le courage de se lever, du peuple qui a eu le courage de se lever et de dire non, de dire qu'on n'accepte pas de vivre dans un pays où le mensonge est devenu la règle et dire la vérité est devenu un crime. Parce que c'est ça. Et il y a des gens qui m'ont reproché ça quand ils ont commencé à voir la série que j'ai projetée. Ils me disent, mais tu attaques le gouvernement. Je lui ai dit, mais j'attaque, est-ce que j'ai menti? Non. Est-ce que j'ai donné le nom de quelqu'un? Donc, ça veut dire que dire la vérité aujourd'hui au Cameroun est devenu un crime. Et nous devons nous mobiliser pour lutter contre ça. Donc, on est sur beaucoup de fronts. Et je suis vraiment engagé à faire ça et je pense, je suis vraiment disponible. Et si on a besoin, je vous dis, n'hésitez pas, si on a besoin, je pense que c'est utile de produire. Et l'image aujourd'hui, on est dans un monde d'image et c'est très important qu'on arrive à se servir de ça. Et comme d'habitude, le Cameroun a des compétences dans ce domaine-là, il faut qu'on les utilise.
Merci beaucoup, Francois. Again, that was another profound thought that we really have to work together, Francois, to make sure that we're telling a story to the Cameroonian people that will continue to inspire them to stay united and keep fighting for the truth, nothing but the truth. And if we all, because everything else could be made up but the truth. The truth is the only thing that we cannot make up. We cannot. So if we all just stood for the truth, that will be the salvation that we're seeking for all of us. So the truth, as the Bible says, will save us. Yeah, Eric, after 3 hours of conversation, I bet you that to those who are listening, we've always planned to keep this to 1 hour. But the mountain of challenges ahead of us is too high for it to be resolved in few words. So we come to this deeply grateful for your time, that that you are able to stand with us and stay with us. Cameroon is too important for us to treat this casually. And this is something that is taken seriously and that we have to be really vested in. And that's the sacrifice that we are making. This holiday period, we could have all been in other places enjoying ourselves. But we chose this moment to commune with the Cameroonian people. And I hope that as time goes on, we will have thousands and maybe even millions of Cameroonians that have been part of this moment, because that's how we build a movement that's going to take the destiny of our country back into the hands of the people where it should rightfully be. So, Eric, I would turn this over to you. You can conclude based on everything that has been.
No, I'll come back to you to end this, you and Elizabeth, but I just have three quick things to say. One, let me address François. François, j'aimerais qu'on fasse, on peut travailler ensemble hein, sur soit une série de vidéos, juste une vidéo de, je ne sais pas combien de minutes, hein, qu'on peut, suivant la suggestion que tu as fait, une vidéo que nous pouvons utiliser régulièrement pour, n'est-ce pas, raconter l'histoire du 12 octobre. Parce que c'est une date qu'il faut marquer dans l'histoire du Cameroun. Donc, voilà. Donc, nous pouvons travailler ensemble, nous pouvons essayer de trouver les fonds nécessaires pour produire, n'est-ce pas, ces vidéos-là. Et peut-être la brochure, donc, à parler au bord de l'air. C'est-à-dire les deux peuvent aller ensemble. Une brochure qu'on peut distribuer aux enfants, qu'on peut, juste pour encore marquer cette date. Donc, on en parlera, on aura le temps d'en parler. J'espère qu'on pourra y revenir. Et puis, there are two things I just want to say, which I think I want to leave everybody with. One is the thank you message, but more importantly, I want us to always think about what is happening in Cameroon. And I was just looking at it again because I was in front of me. The experience we have in that, you know, that the Cameroon experience since 1990, and the experience of countries similar to ours. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again because I want us to keep it in our heads. I was just looking at the facts. Nigeria has had 1, 2, 3, 4. Nigeria has had 5 presidents since 1990. Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Goodluck, Jonathan. 4. Diouf Wade, Macky Sall, Juma Faye. Ghana has had 5, actually, you can say 6, but 5 since 1990. You know them, Rawlings, Kufuor, Mills, Mahama, Jonathan, Kofi Addo, and Mahama again. Côte d'Ivoire, in spite of all the problems that country has had, the war it went to, they've had 3. Kenya has had 4. Moi, Kibaki, Kenyatta, and Ruto. Cameroon should have had just as many, but he didn't. Why? Because who should have been one and gone will not let Fundi put him under house arrest. And then it came to Issa Chiroma, and he chased him out of the country. Exile. We should, and these should have been the 3 presidents that would have allowed us to also benefit from this democratic process that Mr. Biya claims to have brought to Cameroon. Let us not let it continue. That's, every Cameroonian should keep it in their heads. And as I said, I want to mention the fact that if you look at what has happened in all of the countries I've mentioned, Cameroon is the only one where the GDP, where the economy, the fact is change, or we allow the government to stop change, our economy will continue going down. And our young people will be on the streets, on motorcycles, on, you name it. We're suffering precisely because we're allowing these people to get away with murder. People are dying in hospitals for that reason. People are being jailed for that reason. People are not having jobs for that reason. Infrastructure is broken down for that reason. So let us think about this. I want to leave you with that thought. And then I just want to also thank, one gets the impression that Array and Elizabeth and myself doing what we're doing. No, far from it. It's the work that is being done, the amazing work that's being done by, and I'll only call first names, Dr. Alan Tita, I'll call him his name fully, but there's, Judith, Juana, there's Mike Sanzer, there's Herman, there's Wilson, there's Annette, you saw Herman, there's Annette, there's Terence, there's Jean Bruno Wanko, there's Eugenie, and then of course there's Leopold Nzese, there's Alain Oyono, there's Jean-Marie Mboganina, there is Junior Abena, there's Kenneth Nder, there's Chris Che, the venerable businessman who's given us a lot of encouragement. There's Kenny Tendo, whom you saw. There's Angeline Do, whom you didn't see but who's there. And we have some of the influencers and online journalists like Mimi Mefo, like Benan Galim, like Muslim Manto, Becky Nonchon, and so on. All of this is a huge group that's working every day to make sure that we continue to do what we're doing, and in the hope that, as has been said over and over today, more and more people will stay in this fight until we win it. And as Père Janvier just said, we've got to win it in months this year. Thanks. Ari, it's over to you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Eric. We've got months to liberate the people of Cameroon, and as uncertain as the future may look like, so too is our resolve. Right? We are resolved to win it. And every day that comes by, our conviction is only strengthened. And there is no doubt that the regime is at the end of is the last throes of a dying horse. And that's what's happening now. I see one hand up, Bibi. I'm not too sure. We don't have much time. We're just going to take Bibi. Maybe we'll give you a minute or so for your comment, and then I'll turn this over to Eli. But I want everybody to look at that donation link in the chat. That donation link in the chat, and I say, Kenny, Gearings went in and signed up for $100 a month. And that in itself will give us the ability to do the kind of work that Francois is talking about, to make sure that we put in place a team that is churning out the short videos and inspiring and motivating the people, that we're working with community radios across the country to communicate the right message. So we need to, for us to win, again, I keep saying there's 4 million Cameroonians in the diaspora, and if only 10% or 1% just stood up, we will build the resources. We can build our own solar plant in Cameroon if we choose to, so that we put our people live with light, basic necessity. We could, there's so much that we can do with giving just so little. So let's be invested in this process. Bibi, we'll just take your question, and then after that, Eli, and I'll turn it over to you. I just want to make sure that we.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you all so much. It's just a quick comment, so I'm not going to use the full minute actually. Yeah. And just want to thank you all for all you are doing and for everything. By the way, $100 is not a small contribution. So I just wanted to suggest that, if we can probably check with the technical team, running the Zoom, if we can have a way of doing a closed caption or a translation when others are speaking, that would really be nice. I think the presumption here is that everybody's Cameroonian, everybody's bilingual. I happen to be bilingual, but when the other people, when our brothers from the French-speaking side are talking, there's so many ideas that it will be good for everybody else to hear. So I don't know if there's a way of doing that on Zoom. I think I've had some other Zooms where I'm able to read in English while they're speaking in another language. So that's just my suggestion on how that could be done. Parce que la présomption, c'est que tout le monde parle français, tout le monde est camerounais et on comprend bien le français. Mais c'est pas le cas en tous les cas et c'est pas tout le monde ici qui est camerounais. Nous avons des sympathisants qui ne sont pas camerounais, qui peut-être auront besoin de contribuer ou bien de dire quelque chose ou bien de comprendre tout ce que tout le monde dit, mais ce n'est pas le cas s'il n'y a pas de traduction ou bien même faire juste un petit sommet après que la personne ait parlé pour qu'on puisse comprendre tout le monde ce que la personne a dit. Ça, c'est juste ma contribution. Et dernièrement, donner peut-être un petit recap de tout ce qui a été déjà fait parce qu'il y a les gens qui viennent aussi pour la première fois tout le temps. On invite toujours les gens. Faire une petite summary de tout ce qui a été fait avec peut-être les contributions que vous avez eues. Je comprends qu'il y a les radios, les télévisions qui ont été contactées, mais donner juste un petit rapport de ce qui a été fait déjà et les résultats qui ont été achevés par rapport à ça. Ça va aussi aider avec les contributions. Disons même que tout le monde donne $5, même pas $100. J'aimerais donner $5 10 fois par, je ne sais pas, par mois ou bien par 2 mois, que de donner un $50 une fois par an. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, BB. Donations, $10 and $20 and $25 and $30.
Yes.
The finance team has just put yourself on a donation plan, but we have people sending $10, and that $10 is as meaningful as the $1,000 that we receive. Every $1, every $5 is equally as meaningful. But I really must thank you for the comments that you have made with reference to, yes, we would plan to have captions going forward, and obviously try to make sure that we give people an update of the so much that has been accomplished, and also highlight so much that has yet to be accomplished. And I hope that you keep coming back and being part of this movement, and hope that we find a role for you as well in this year of and yours to sustain. So thank you for being here. Ellie?
Coming ever since I texted her months ago